safeguard our health and our lives. I'm advised by the Executive Secretary that we have the required quorum, and I will ask her to list the delegations present in alphabetical order. The Secretariat will take note of other delegations as they join. Secretary Osborne, please read out the list of delegations present.
Canada, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Dominica, Ecuador, El Salvador, the United States, Grenada, Guatemala, Guyana, Haiti, Honduras, Jamaica, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, the Dominican Republic, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, Uruguay, and Venezuela. No, we don't have Venezuela, I'm sorry.
No.
And we don't, I'm sorry. Let me go through that again, Ambassador. The list is a little bit, is being updated. So we have Barbados, Bolivia, Brazil, Canada, Chile, Costa Rica, Ecuador, El Salvador, the United States, Haiti, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Dominican Republic, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, Trinidad and Tobago, and Uruguay.
I think you missed out Dominica there. No?
Dominica is not present. No,
not, okay, my mistake.
It was not clicked. It was not.
Sorry, my mistake. I thought I'd seen Judy, but no, I'm getting confused. Sorry. Thank you very much, Executive Secretary. The required quorum is established and we can proceed. Item 1 is consideration of the draft order of business, which I submit for the consideration of this Council as document CD/OD-100/20, corrigendum 1. Are there any objections to the draft order of business? If there are no objections, the draft order of business is approved. Approved. Item 2, virtual meetings of SEDI and its committees. As stated at the beginning of our tenure as chair of SEDI, Guyana is mindful that integral development is at the core of the hemispheric agenda, and it is a common and joint responsibility of all member states. It is even more so in the time of COVID-19. Now, the development pillar is of even greater relevance than ever before, and SEDI has an essential role to play to support the efforts of the Organization of American States as a whole to help reduce the impacts of the pandemic in member states. Nevertheless, in spite of the current circumstances, member states, as we have done in the Permanent Council, must still find appropriate ways to allow the work of SEDI to continue in accordance with its functions, objectives, and mandates. Thus, taking into consideration the current regulatory standards and the rules of procedure for regular and special meetings of SEDI, which of course remain fully applicable, we must adapt and adopt, in these exceptional circumstances, suitable alternatives to face-to-face meetings. I therefore present for your consideration the procedures and mechanisms outlined in document CD/Doc 285/20 for the holding of regular and special meetings of SEDI and its subsidiary organs in virtual format, which closely follow those approved by the Permanent Council. Furthermore, to formalize an agreement, a draft resolution entitled Virtual Meetings of the Inter-American Council for Integral Development due to the COVID-19 pandemic, document CD/Doc 286/20, corrigendum 1, is also on the table for your approval. The draft resolution is modeled on the resolution approved by acclamation by the Permanent Council after careful and exhaustive review by all other delegations. The draft has also benefited from amendments suggested to the chair suggested by the chair on Committee on Policies on behalf of a group of member states. I believe that approval of this resolution will enable SEDI and its subsidiary bodies to continue to perform their statutory functions by means of virtual communication platforms. Member states have seen fit to approve this mechanism in the Permanent Council, which we are essentially replicating in SEDI. I hope that member states will see fit to approve this policy and for the Council without debate, but the floor is now open for comments. I see Barbados requesting the floor. Ambassador Lynch of Barbados, you have the floor.
His mic is off.
Ambassador Lynch, can you activate your mic and your camera, please? We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
No, what I wanted to say was that I didn't hear anything that Ambassador Ensenada said. Absolutely nothing. I could see him, but I couldn't hear him at all. I don't know if that's just me or if anybody else, but I couldn't hear on the buttons above where the floor is speaking. It says camera on, but microphone off. Where you are, not where I am. But I could hear him, I could see him, but I couldn't hear him at all. I don't know if that was my problem at all.
Ambassador, can you hear me now?
Still can't hear him.
I can't, Fernando, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Yes,
you.
we can hear you.
Executive Secretary.
Ambassador
Yes,
Lynch,
I hear you clearly.
Ambassador Lynch, could you please refresh your Chrome
Okay.
browser and we'll try again. We have Malet Philippe from
Ms. Malet
Solution.
Philip, you have the floor. Can you hear me?
Thank you, Chair. So Lucia couldn't hear a thing. Absolutely no interventions. We can hear the Executive Secretary and we can hear Barbados, certain others, but over the last, anybody else, no. We're not having any audio coming through.
Okay, could I ask the Secretariat and Fernando and technical support to try and sort out this problem before we proceed?
Okay. Ms. Malet, could you please also refresh your browser? Maybe you can hear Ambassador Ensenada now. Let's try with the Ambassador Lynch from Barbados, if he can request the floor and confirm that the problem was solved with refreshing.
Yes, sir. I can hear Ambassador Ensenada.
Yes.
Now. I can hear.
Solved?
Thanks.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
St. Lucia would have to do the same, no?
Exactly. Let's see, we have St. Lucia.
Sorry, but St. Lucia didn't hear any instructions, so we have no clue what we're supposed to do.
Can you hear us now?
I can hear you, Kim.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Other than that, no.
Can you refresh
Can you
your
hear me
browser?
also?
Refresh your Chrome?
I just did.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Can you hear Ambassador Ensenada now?
No, cannot hear. Not a word. Okay. So as not to hold up the meeting, I'll try to work with my colleague here to see what maybe we can do. I'll log out and come back in. Thank you.
She didn't refresh the browser because he has to go out. Yeah. Let's see if she goes to the end. She will refresh the browser. She has to log out and log in again. Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
She has indicated, Fernando, that she's going to try to work out her challenges and we'll try to get back in so we can probably proceed.
Oh, okay. If I see her at the end of the list, she, no, not yet. We have Ms. Bush from the United States.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I was wondering, in light of the technical difficulties, if you would be willing to repeat your intervention so that everyone can hear it. Thank you.
Well, I'd have to wait for Ms. Madad Philip to come back online.
Great. Thank you.
Fernando, is there any way of knowing if anyone else missed my opening remarks?
No one put in the message chat, or I did not receive anything.
Kim, do you think you could send Juliet a message?
Yeah, I'm texting her right now.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
She is back. She has to request the floor. Let's see now.
Ambassador, can you try speaking to see if Juliet can hear you?
Good morning, Juliet. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear him? Yes, she does.
Okay. So,
okay, perfect.
Fernando, may I resume? Or
yes.
Commence?
Yes.
Good morning, distinguished delegates. For the benefit of our colleagues who were unable to hear me at the beginning, I will summarize my opening remarks. We have a quorum established. The draft order of business was approved, and I was introducing item 2, virtual meetings of SEDI and its committees. I emphasized the importance of integral development as being at the core of the hemispheric agenda and appropriate at this time of COVID-19, and the fact that SEDI would have an essential role to play in supporting efforts of the OAS as a whole to help reduce the impacts of the pandemic in member states. I recognize the exceptional circumstances that we are faced with, and as in the Permanent Council, I pointed out that CD would have to find appropriate ways to allow its work to continue in accordance with its functions, objectives, and mandates. Taking into consideration the current regulatory standards and the rules of procedure for regular and special meetings of CD, which of course remain fully applicable, we must adopt suitable alternatives to face-to-face meetings. You therefore have before you the procedures and mechanisms outlined in the document CD/Doc 285/20 for the holding of regular and special meetings of CD and its subsidiary organs in virtual format, which closely follow the procedures approved by the Permanent Council. Furthermore, to formalize an agreement, a draft resolution on virtual meetings of the Inter-American Council for Integral Development due to the COVID-19 pandemic, document CD/Doc 286/20 for Agenda 1 is also on the table for your approval. This draft resolution is of course modeled on that approved by acclamation by the Permanent Council after careful and exhaustive review by all our delegations. And the draft has also benefited from amendments suggested by the chair of the Committee on Policies on behalf of a group of member states. I believe that approval of the resolution will enable CD and its subsidiary bodies to continue to perform their statutory functions by means of virtual communication platforms until face-to-face meetings can resume. Member states have seen fit to approve this mechanism in the Permanent Council. We are essentially replicating it in CD. I don't expect another debate about this policy, but the floor is open for comments by member states. Ambassador of Mexico, you have the floor.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Algo sumamente breve. Mi delegación entiende que en el marco de la pandemia COVID-19, el quórum, el voto, los actos y decisiones del CIDI y de sus comisiones y órganos subsidiarios que se adopten durante las sesiones virtuales tienen el mismo valor jurídico que los actos adoptados en presencia física. Solo quisiera confirmarlo. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Yes, I think that is a good point of clarification that is important to note. We will note that accordingly. Ambassador Solano of Costa Rica, you have the floor.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente, y muchas gracias por el trabajo, por podernos reunir aquí, por el trabajo realizado con la preparación de esta resolución. Al igual que México, queríamos confirmar lo mismo, no está explicitado en la resolución como sí en la del Consejo Permanente, pero al igual que México queríamos dejar constar que para nosotros las reuniones que se lleven virtuales tienen exactamente la misma validez que las presenciales. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Are there any other requests for the floor? If there are no requests to the floor, may I request myself that a delegation move the adoption of this resolution? United States, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move that we adopt this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ambassador Barbados, you have the floor.
We are moving Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We were just moving to adopt the resolution. Do you need a seconder?
Well, I take it that you're seconding the motion.
Absolutely second that motion, sir.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. And if there are no further comments, I take the resolution as being moved, seconded, and adopted. It is so agreed, the resolution is adopted. Thank you very much. I now move to item 3, the work program of the Executive Secretariat for Integral Development in response to COVID-19 challenges, opportunities, and engagement with member states. This is the new work program developed by SEDI in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. As the representatives of member states are aware, some weeks ago, the General Secretariat and its dependencies started to reorient their work to assist member states to face the challenges of the pandemic. I'm pleased to offer Executive Secretary Kim Osborne the floor to present the new work program being proposed by SEDI. Executive Secretary Osborne, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ambassador. Good morning, ambassadors, distinguished delegates. A pleasure to see everybody. It is nice to resume SEDI's work in this COVID climate. I'd like to preface my presentation this morning by speaking a little bit about giving some background on the numbers in terms of where we are and what we face right now. As we know, the pandemic is expected to produce the worst economic outcomes since the Great Depression. The IMF and the World Bank have projected negative growth of below -3% and -5% for 2020. For the Americas, for our region, the numbers are even more daunting. The IMF estimates that Argentina, Colombia, Chile, and Brazil will experience negative growth, negative GDP of -5.7% this year, Venezuela -15%. Goldman Sachs projects up to a 34% decline of GDP in the US. We've seen the numbers in the US in terms of unemployment. In the Caribbean, contractions are expected to be severe, with negative growth rates ranging between -1% in Suriname to -7.7% in Barbados. As we have been following this news, we realize that all member states, particularly those in Central America and the Caribbean, who are already struggling with tight fiscal deficits and high debt to GDP ratios, will become even more vulnerable in this current context. We recognize that they will be unable to generate additional tax revenue. They will be forced to borrow at exorbitant rates, which will further retard their recovery and their growth. We see the impact of the virus, the pandemic, on tourism, along with declines in commodity prices. We realize that remittances will be severely challenged, and foreign exchange reserved for these countries will also be a challenge. So it is within this context that we recognize the urgency of our work within the development pillar. And as indicated by the chair, we've had to reorganize our work program to quickly ensure that we are being relevant in this context, and we are trying our best to respond to some of the needs of our member states. In terms of how we've approached this, we have adjusted our work program. We've adjusted our portfolio of existing projects to support the COVID response. We've had to work with our donors in order to do so. As you know, one of our largest donors in SEDI is the United States, and the United States has been working very closely with us in terms of helping us to ensure continuity with our work, ensuring that we could reorient our projects. We also have programs with the CAF and with the JEF as our major donors, and they've also been very receptive to helping us to reorganize our work program to allow us to adjust our existing projects. We're looking at new projects as information comes to us as to what the state of affairs are in the countries. We've had to also look at where there may be new opportunities to develop projects with our member states based on their needs. And I want to stress very much based on needs. We've also begun our outreach to multi-sectoral partners. We recognize that in this effort, we simply do not have the resources to do this alone, and as such, we are looking to establish new partnerships and to engage with others as we respond. We will continue to work to update member states on our work program. We recognize that this is a working document. It is a live document. And as we go along, we'll be making adjustments. We are in the process of developing a platform specifically focused on the initiatives and resources. We want to have a one-stop shop for responses in development so that our member states, both here and in capital, have one space that they can access information as we go along. What do we have currently underway? We are, and member states have probably seen in the last update that we sent out last week, within the context of the Inter-American Network on Competitiveness, we are working on an accelerator of ideas, which is where member states and private sector and other partners across the board are sharing solutions that they're developing in response to COVID. We think that these solutions are very relevant at this time. Member states can access those, and we'll continue to develop that accelerator with new ideas as they emerge, with all our member states and partners participating. Within the context of competitiveness as well, we have the America's Competitiveness Forum. As you know, this is the highest level of our competitiveness effort, where the ministers on competitiveness convene. What we're doing now is to reorient that program so that we're focused on the short-term, the medium-term, and long-term implications of COVID. We recognize that going forward, as against the background of the information that I prefaced the presentation with, that member states will be very heavily focused on their economic recovery, and as such, they will be inclined to ensure that we are focused on that squarely. In terms of partnerships, we have, within the context of SEDI, have been working very hard on the issue of MSMEs, and we have partnered with Facebook on developing a specific program for MSMEs. We hope to have that program launched by May 5th, and that program will have a combination of roundtable discussions with policymakers, together with online training for small and medium enterprises. We've partnered with Amazon Web Services. As you know, we have an agreement with Amazon Web, and under that partnership, we've been able to offer member states some of the education resources where member states can have access to the Amazon cloud. They can help with digitizing education curricula and ensuring that the resources are migrated online so that member states can facilitate distance learning. Amazon has also made available to us educate.com, which is an existing platform with additional education resources. They've made available Amazon Chime to our member states free of charge for a period of 3 months. For virtual meetings and all of the other IT solutions that they have, they've also put at the service of our member states, and we're very grateful for that. We continue the digitization program of MSMEs. Member states would have seen what the launch in Colombia and a few of our other member states, I believe Honduras was last week, and we'll continue that digitization program. Some of other member states and entities within member states, having seen the announcement from other countries, have also reached out to us to access the program. So the digitization of MSMEs becomes all the more important in this current context because they have to migrate to a virtual operating environment and engage in e-commerce. That becomes all the more relevant at this time. We're working at this moment with the COMCIT, the Inter-American Committee on Science and Technology, which is the working group of the working body of the REMCIT, the Inter-American Ministerial on Science and Technology. And there is a proposal being led by the CONCITEC of Peru and a few others on building and creating an inter-American network of modeling and simulation for emergency situations. And that will fall under the aegis of Prospector Americas. Prospector Americas, as you know, is the foresight platform that was launched by SEDI in 2019, and that we are focused on 10 transformational technologies. And this one is being proposed as another initiative of Prospector to serve all of our member states. The next meeting of Science and Technology RMCIT is scheduled for Jamaica. There's much discussion taking place now as to having that focus on some of the most technology solutions to address some of the most pressing challenges presented by COVID to member states. Again, the idea is to ensure that there's relevance with our work and the recovery that member states will be undertaking in the post-COVID context. Next slide. Knowledge sharing. One of the things that the first outreach from capitals or from the ministries to us, those that we engage with on a regular basis, was to access to information. So we have developed within the context of education, labor, tourism, competitiveness, ports, we've developed resource centers, if you will, where we are developing, we have collated, if you will, a repository of good practices, essentially documenting what each member state is doing in response to the COVID pandemic, so that there's information both on policies, strategies, programs that are being deployed in member states, that are being deployed by businesses, by organizations. And that information sharing is to enable member states to look at what can be adapted to their own national context. We would have circulated last week a series, our webinars and e-workshops. We're adding to that as we speak, as needs come to us. We're adding webinars and e-workshops. You will see some on MSMEs. You will see on subnational competitiveness, on education, on labor, and going forward, we will be sending out the links to member states as these webinars and e-workshops come on stream. The idea is to ensure that we're continuing to engage. The idea is to ensure within the e-workshops we would have previously done in country, that we can continue our work in this virtual context. And that is proving to be very useful. Next slide. In terms of education, as you member states probably saw, the Role Fund has offered an additional $2,000 to our students. So in addition to the interest-free loans that they would have had of $15,000, we've added, the Role Fund took a decision to add, the committee took a decision to add another $2,000 to students to help them to cope during this time. And that, I think, was a very good effort on the part of Role, recognizing that students are particularly challenged. We're offering free training courses online, the Education Portal of the Americas and the Fundación Pro Futuro. We will be launching a series of virtual video presentations, sharing experiences, recommendations, etc. The Inter-American Teacher Education, the I-10, there's a series of webinars that we've sent out to member states as to specifically for teachers to help them with their learning and their outreach to their students at this time. We are working with the Department of Security through the Education Portal of the Americas to facilitate their work, and we'll continue to do that. Next slide. In the area of sustainable development, we're looking at working with the water team and the Integrated Water Resources Management Program. That work has become even more relevant at this time, since water is so essential to this COVID response. The idea of the simple idea of what concept of washing hands is important. So that work that we're doing in all the different regions has taken on new meaning within this COVID context. Work. We are reaching out specifically, as we've heard from Caribbean member states, we are reaching out to our partners at Georgia State University to look at a GIS program specific to the Caribbean context, and to be continued on this, because that is still being decided as we speak. Cleta Springer is leading this effort in response to what we've heard from some of the Caribbean and our partners on the ground. We are working on looking at, within the context of energy, you would have seen a number of webinars that we have scheduled on energy and energy efficiency, etc., that we will be rolling out over the next few weeks. We've also been collecting information on within the disaster management platform that we have. And you've probably seen in what we sent out, member states would have seen that we've put out a specific article on the PIDs and how the PIDs can be reoriented, or how the PIDs can best assist with the COVID response. We published that last week. Next slide. So these are just an example, and there's a lot, as I say, that's evolving as we speak. We have, within the context of the Small Business Development Center project, we've done a survey of about over 1,000 small businesses in the Caribbean to gauge their response to COVID. And so we'll be publishing very soon the responses that we have from Barbados, Jamaica, and St. Lucia. And we'll continue our work in that regard. In the context of tourism and competitiveness, specifically for the Caribbean, we will be working on looking at the tourism numbers. So looking at the trends in source markets, looking at the trends in the accommodation sector, the cruise sector, and some of the others, the ancillary services sector, looking at destination readiness. From a data standpoint, what is the data telling us, so that we can better inform decision making on tourism within the context of the Caribbean. We hope that we can replicate that same scenario for other member states, other regions. We're just starting with the Caribbean based on the funding that we had available to us. And on a national level, we're doing the same thing, starting with hopefully with Ecuador. We are in discussion with Ambassador Hativer and the government of Ecuador to begin the process of looking at the entire economic landscape. The idea being that we would partner with Ecuador from this data-driven approach, and then hopefully move on to other countries. But this is purely because of funding issues why we are working with one country at this time and one sector in the case of the Caribbean. We will continue, as I said, to update member states. We intend to have regular updates going out as our work evolves over the next few weeks. We'll be sending that out. What are some of the challenges that we see going forward? The idea of transition into a full virtual context is a bit of a challenge for both of us, for both member states and for the Secretariat. We've had to adjust very quickly, and it's not always very easy to engage with member states fully in the virtual context, but I think we're all in a learning process and trying to do the best we can with the technologies that they have and that we have. We see the evolving national and regional context. There's a lot that we still don't know. So as we develop our work, we have to be mindful of that changing dynamic, both in terms of our country, both in terms of our countries, our donors, and others. We know that funds going forward will be earmarked for COVID and response and recovery. So we believe that it will be probably a little more difficult to raise funds for other things that are not specifically geared towards COVID response and recovery. We see that there will be an intense competition for attracting donor funding, and we really want to ensure that we are that we are able to compete as an organization. We've presented to the Secretariat a proposal on the ICR, having just lost a project for $12.9 million to one of the UN agencies by virtue of the fact that they had a lower ICR rate than we did. They were offering 10%. And last week we got the very sad news that we had lost that opportunity after having worked and negotiated that funding for 12.9. So we've presented a proposal which we hope we'll be able to take to the CAP, or that the Secretary will take to the CAP, so that we can see how we can be more competitive in this new operating context. We know that traditional donors are also impacted, and we'll probably be looking to ensure that they can function, that they attend to their own needs, and that may mean lower funding levels, if you will, for projects that are outside of the traditional donors, their own issues having to be dealt with first. We recognize that one of the challenges that we may face, and that is an opportunity for the OAS to perhaps review, is the slow internal approval process. If we have to be sufficiently nimble, sufficiently agile in order for us to attract or to go after opportunities that may be available for funding for programs and projects. Next slide. What are the opportunities? There's a renewed focus on development, as I illustrated earlier. The fact that we're seeing such the economic sector, the socioeconomic challenges that member states face, that there will be a renewed focus on development and a renewed opportunity to really build our work in the development pillar of the OAS. The economic competitiveness is a strong area for us, and also an area that we have, where we have a comparative advantage, and we believe that we can really have some impact in that area based on the work that we're currently doing within the ACF, within the context of the ACE, within the context of the REAC. There are opportunities for us to work with member states, and we very much think that we can contribute in that area. We see the opportunity to establish new partnerships. Already we are reaching out to academia, some of the partners that we had not traditionally reached out to. We see the opportunities to work with the private sector, with other like-minded institutions. So there is that opportunity to do so. We also see the opportunity to help member states in policy reforms and planning beyond COVID. I joke with my team on our last week's meeting that some of the policies that we had put forward a while back are now taking on new significance, so that we need to look at integrated planning, for example, beyond the COVID crisis. And we have that opportunity to work with member states on some of the policy reforms that they will be working on. We see the opportunity to document good practices in terms of both policies and strategies for informing long-term multi-hazard planning and multi-sectoral planning. That is something that we've been stressing, and we have a new opportunity to work on that as well. We see the opportunity to develop tailored responses to the needs of member states in the areas where we have a comparative advantage. So in the SME sector, in the competitiveness sector, etc., we think that there are opportunities to really have very focused responses to the needs of member states as they emerge. We believe that there is the opportunity to migrate to an online education platform. We have the Education Portal of the Americas to offer new educational opportunities to our member states. One of the things that we've particularly heard from small businesses in the Caribbean is that of energy efficiency. Energy efficiency, we had been since the 2000s, pushing as a way of reducing operating costs, particularly in the small tourism enterprise sector. And we are hearing again the need to revisit the issue of energy efficiency, and we have a very strong energy program within the context of the ECPA. And we believe that this is an opportunity for us to really revisit the issue of energy efficiency as a means of helping to reduce operating costs. The small business, our SME program has new life, I believe, new relevance in this context. As you know, over 90% of businesses in our hemisphere are small businesses, so that there is an opportunity to really work with our member states, and we work with the small businesses. In the Caribbean, we will be partnering with the Caribbean Development Bank. We're developing a joint program with them on MSMEs. They've reached out to us to engage jointly and to focus on e-commerce for MSMEs, digital learning platforms for MSMEs, and financing and financial literacy programs for MSMEs. So we will be working in that area and moving to other regions, or particularly Central America as well, on the issue of MSMEs. With engagement with member states, we believe we have the opportunity to have full engagement as intermediaries, channeling both needs and opportunities. We want to engage more fully with you, more directly with member states, to understand better the needs that all member states will have in this COVID context, and to look jointly at the opportunities that we can work on to respond to those those needs. We believe that member states' accompaniment on approaching donors is essential at this point. Very often donors want to, even when they are entertaining ideas or projects from us, there's always the question of how relevant it is to a member state and how much need there is. So we urge member states to work with us on and accompany us in approaching donors, so that we can really accelerate our fundraising efforts in that regard. We believe that there are new modalities for discussion and program development. What we're proposing here is perhaps more informal and timely discussions where we can reach out to you on the challenges that we face, on the needs, and to work jointly, to work collaboratively on responses, given the urgency that this pandemic presents, so that we're not wasting too much time in terms of developing responses that our member states may need. We believe bi-directional information sharing is essential at this time. We want to hear from you, and we want to be able to go to you in short order, on a timely basis. We want information to flow both ways as we engage on the responses. Again, our goal is to continue to assist member states to look at solutions that are relevant, solutions that are impactful, as we face this pandemic together. And I will stop there, Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Executive Secretary. The floor is now open to delegations for comments. El Salvador, you have the floor.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. ¿Me escuchan?
Yes.
Gracias, señor presidente. Buenos días a todos. Agradecemos a la presidencia, a la secretaría, por la convocatoria a la sesión, así como también por la circulación de todos los documentos de trabajo. Agradecemos también la presentación realizada por la señora secretaria Osborne. El Salvador, bajo el liderazgo del señor presidente de la República, Nayib Bukele, coincidimos con los esfuerzos y acciones que se están desarrollando desde esta instancia y por ende desde la OEA para el combate de la pandemia y sus efectos provocada por el COVID-19. Destacar, señor presidente, que todas las medidas oportunas y preventivas tomadas por el gobierno del presidente Bukele con el apoyo de la población y la ayuda internacional nos han permitido contener en todo lo posible la pandemia del coronavirus. Las medidas de prevención, detección oportuna, atención y control de riesgos de enfermedades infecciosas, entre otras, forman parte del Plan Nacional de Preparación y Respuesta ante el COVID-19 del Ministerio de Salud Pública de El Salvador, dado diciembre de 2019 al 2020, el cual se suma a todos los decretos ejecutivos, legislativos y demás legislación nacional e internacional a la cual responde y acude El Salvador para el manejo y tratamiento en todos los escenarios de las causas y efectos de la pandemia del coronavirus. El Plan Nacional de Salud se va concretizando y complementando con acciones como la fase 1, que se refiere a la estrategia en la identificación y control de todos los casos importados del COVID-19 y que fueron detectados y tratados bajo estrictos protocolos y controles sanitarios y de salud en cada uno de los puntos de ingreso terrestre y aéreo de nuestro país. Resaltar que el cierre temprano y de forma escalonada de nuestras fronteras al ingreso de viajeros de diferentes partes del mundo nos permitió a tiempo detener los casos importados del COVID-19. Actualmente nos encontramos en la fase 2, en donde la estrategia, como lo señala mi presidente Bukele, es sencillo y difícil a la vez. Se trata de perseguir el virus, encontrarlo, aislar y tratar a los pacientes positivos y sus nexos y a los nexos de estos, pero si el contagio es más rápido que nosotros, perderemos la batalla. Siendo el reporte, señor presidente, del Ministerio de Salud Pública, MinSal, al 26 de abril del corriente año, de 89 casos recuperados, los cuales celebramos, 8 casos fallecidos que lamentamos mucho, 226 casos activos, 323 casos confirmados, de los cuales 117 casos son importados y locales 206, 105 casos sospechosos, 20.109 pruebas de COVID-19 realizadas a la fecha del presente reporte. En ese sentido, señor presidente, nos solidarizamos con el dolor de nuestras familias y las familias en la región y el mundo que han perdido un ser querido y que están sufriendo por la causa de esta pandemia del coronavirus. Hacemos votos para que una pronta mejoría que nos permita a todos salir adelante de esta pandemia. Señor presidente, finalmente, y no por esto menos importante, hacemos la mención que el gobierno del presidente Nayib Bukele presentó a la Asamblea Legislativa 5 propuestas de decretos en materia económica para enfrentar los efectos del COVID-19. Las propuestas fueron consensuadas con la empresa privada y diferentes gremiales del país involucradas en el Comité del Fondo de Emergencia, Recuperación y Reconstrucción Económica. Las propuestas implican una aprobación global de $1.000 millones enfocados en proyectos y créditos para la micro, pequeña y medianas empresas MIPYMES, apoyo en el pago de salarios de este sector y ayuda alimenticia a sectores vulnerables del país, entre otras propuestas. Todo esto vendrá a sumarse a muchas otras medidas recibidas por miles de familias salvadoreñas como el bono de los $300, el congelamiento por 3 meses, desde marzo a mayo, del pago de luz, agua, teléfono, cable, préstamos bancarios personales y para el pago de viviendas, para el pago de vehículos, entre otros, etcétera. Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Gracias, muy amables.
Thank you very much to the distinguished delegate of El Salvador. The distinguished delegate of the United States has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning to all the delegates present. The United States would first like to thank the CIDI Chair for convening this meeting. We believe it is essential for the OAS to convene virtually, both in the Permanent Council and now here in CIDI, so that the institution can assist member states in coordinating the response to the COVID-19 pandemic. We also thank Secretary Osborne for her presentation. We appreciate SEDI's shifting focus to efforts that can address the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic and view this as a real opportunity for the OAS to show leadership in helping address development needs. As Secretary Osborne mentioned, the United States mission has worked closely with the OAS to review our funded projects and determine how they can better support member states' response to the pandemic. In particular, our collective work in supporting entrepreneurs across the region as they weather the storm of COVID-19 is more important than ever. We look forward to the one-stop shop platform SEDI is building, as it will be a valuable source and repository of innovative actions and ideas to help the region cope with the devastating effects of COVID-19. We also support SEDI's efforts to identify private sector partnerships that can enhance our ongoing work and catalyze investments. In closing, we echo the points made regarding the areas of the OAS comparative advantage and focusing response on those areas. We urge member states to keep in focus the role that the OAS is capable of playing in response to the pandemic. Spending our valuable time and limited resources on issues outside of the OAS's remit will only hinder the organization's ability to respond. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ambassador Simas of Brazil has the floor.
Bom dia, presidente. Cumprimento afetuoso também a todos os colegas participantes dessa reunião. Eu gostaria de agradecer, em primeiro lugar, a convocação dessa importante sessão de hoje e a resolução que aprovamos, que permite o funcionamento do CIDI, que nos permite retomar os trabalhos do Conselho de forma virtual, até que seja possível voltarmos a nos reunir presencialmente. Agradeço também a apresentação em PowerPoint, que foi feita pela Secretária Executiva para o Desenvolvimento Integral, a senhora Kim Osborne. Quero parabenizá-la pelo empenho demonstrado pela Secretaria em explorar caminhos possíveis para adaptar o trabalho da SEDI ao atual contexto da pandemia. Sugiro, inclusive, que essa apresentação PowerPoint feita hoje, que não se confunde naturalmente com o plano de trabalho da Secretaria, fosse distribuída com numeração oficial da organização. Nós devemos reconhecer que estamos vivendo uma situação inédita, sem precedentes, que foi criada por essa pandemia, e que deve implicar no curto e no médio prazo um ajuste no trabalho da Secretaria. Esse ajuste acontecerá seja em decorrência dos graves impactos sanitários, sociais e econômicos para os Estados-membros, que requererá apoio às novas prioridades nacionais, seja também em função das implicações logísticas que recomendam a conversão de muitas atividades do modo presencial para o modo virtual, como, por certo, ficou claro no PowerPoint da secretária Osborne. Em linha com boas práticas da cooperação internacional, nós concordamos com a ênfase indicada pela SEDI para um levantamento tempestivo das necessidades concretas dos Estados-membros, buscando-se evitar uma reorientação dos trabalhos ou que parta unilateralmente da Secretaria ou da Presidência do Conselho. É importante, na discussão dessa reorientação, que foi objeto da apresentação, garantir um alinhamento oportuno entre os tempos da demanda dos Estados e do impacto esperado das ações tomadas em resposta. Deveria evitar-se uma tendência de reorientar projetos de médio e longo prazo para atender demandas de curtíssimo prazo e vice-versa, sob o risco de desperdiçar recursos que são escassos por definição. Além disso, deve-se cuidar para que as atividades prioritárias que já estavam em curso e que são decorrentes de mandatos estabelecidos ou de projetos com Estados-membros específicos, que esse conjunto de atividades não sejam descontinuadas, sem consultas aos diferentes atores interessados. Em suma, é importante que, nesse processo, a Organização dos Estados Americanos tenha uma noção precisa de quais são as suas capacidades e escute a cada momento as demandas dos Estados. Eu gostaria de fazer alguns breves comentários preliminares que são baseados, sobretudo, no documento que tínhamos visto anteriormente em 2 de abril e depois em 22 de abril, e que se intitula Ações da SEDI para apoiar os Estados-membros em sua resposta à pandemia do Covid-19. O Brasil reconhece com satisfação os esforços da Secretaria para sistematizar um calendário abrangente de reuniões, seminários e oficinas virtuais, para facilitar o compartilhamento de boas práticas, contribuir para a capacitação técnica e ampliar as oportunidades de cooperação entre os Estados-membros em resposta à pandemia. É importante que todos esses eventos programados contem com ampla divulgação, para além de um convite dirigido inicialmente às missões permanentes. E, nesse sentido, eu gostaria de consultar como a SEDI está planejando uma divulgação ampla dessas iniciativas programadas. Em relação à busca de parcerias com empresas, e é algo que a delegação brasileira já vinha destacando em reuniões anteriores no âmbito do Conselho, haveria que se definir parâmetros claros que assegurem que as atividades previstas gerem benefícios efetivos e tomando também o devido cuidado para que as atividades não resultem em uma mera promoção de interesses comerciais das empresas parceiras. Em nossa avaliação, seria conveniente que os Estados-membros ainda recebam maior informação sobre esses aspectos que eu acabo de indicar no marco dos projetos de parcerias em andamento. Eu aproveito também a oportunidade hoje para pedir informações adicionais acerca da plataforma que estaria sendo desenvolvida para centralizar as iniciativas dos Estados-membros de cooperação e de parceria no âmbito da pandemia. A esse respeito, seria importante contar com o envolvimento dos Estados-membros na formulação dessa nova ferramenta e, sobretudo, levando em conta e consideração as importantes discussões que já tivemos na reunião técnica sobre cooperação para o desenvolvimento, em outubro do ano passado, reunião essa que foi realizada em seguimento à segunda reunião especializada do CIDI, de altas autoridades de cooperação, de setembro de 2018. Em especial, seria de relevância para todos nós conhecer previamente os custos estimados para a iniciativa e também qual é a interface com a ferramenta CooperaNet, recentemente relançada, inclusive com vistas a evitar uma duplicação de esforços. Para finalizar, eu quero destacar a nossa plena confiança no papel que a OEA, e em particular a SEDI, tem a desempenhar no contexto atual de resposta à pandemia e aos seus dramáticos efeitos para todas as nossas populações. Muito obrigado e um abraço a todos.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I now give the floor to the Ambassador of Panama.
Buenas. Sí. Bueno, gracias, señor presidente. Primero quiero agradecer la presentación que hemos recibido por parte de la SEDI y a la vez reconocer la valiosa labor que realizan y se materializa en el apoyo de los Estados miembros para enfrentar esta crisis. Deseo utilizar este espacio muy brevemente para destacar y reiterar lo que el embajador Salani mencionó al inicio de su intervención en cuanto a que si hay una instancia que cobra como mayor relevancia en este momento es precisamente la CIDI y por ende también la SEDI. Tomando en cuenta la realidad que estamos viviendo, podemos encontrar en el CIDI el órgano que debe de alguna manera eliminar los pasos y la discusión sobre qué entendemos ahora mismo por la vuelta a esta normalidad que se espera de los países. La vuelta a la normalidad, con la desigualdad que teníamos y con la debilidad institucional, debe llamar a la reflexión en este espacio sobre cómo podemos avanzar más allá de esa normalidad, cómo podemos seguir construyendo mejores democracias y mejores países con verdadero desarrollo sostenible. En ese sentido, pues, quería brevemente manifestar el pleno apoyo de la República de Panamá a la labor que viene desarrollando la CIDI y confiamos, pues, que en estos próximos meses podamos entre todos vislumbrar una organización que vaya caminando, como mencioné en el Consejo Permanente, no solamente en cuanto a más derechos para más gente, sino en función de que se garanticen todos los derechos para toda la gente en las Américas. Muchas gracias, presidente.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I now offer the floor to the Ambassador of Ecuador.
Señor presidente, agradezco la convocatoria a esta reunión virtual con la cual se reanudan las actividades del Consejo Interamericano para el Desarrollo Integral, dado que, como usted bien ha notado, el desarrollo integral se encuentra en el centro de la agenda hemisférica, tanto más en estos difíciles momentos. La pandemia del COVID-19 plantea desafíos sin precedentes para los sistemas de salud y el tejido socioeconómico de todas las naciones, al afectar a las economías desarrolladas y más aún a las emergentes en la medida que por sus efectos ya han sido perjudiciales y presagian ser aún peores. Reclama entonces un replanteamiento de las prácticas sociales y sistemas productivos que generarán cambios significativos en los ámbitos de la salud, la política, la tecnología, las relaciones sociales y por supuesto en lo económico, con una demanda de recursos que son prácticamente inexistentes y que requieren mayor financiamiento. Según la CEPAL, la región de América Latina y el Caribe enfrenta la epidemia desde una posición débil debido al colapso de los mercados de productos básicos y las cadenas regionales del valor, a lo que se suma la caída de las remesas que aumentan la volatilidad externa de los países del hemisferio. Los efectos que generan las acciones para controlar la enfermedad proyectan una caída del PIB en más del 5% para este año, sin descartar en algunos casos que se lleguen a contracciones aún más severas. Se tratará entonces de la recesión más grave que habrá sufrido la región desde 1914, agravada por el desplome del comercio internacional, que aumentará la magnitud de la recesión y en especial el fuerte incremento del desempleo con efectos devastadores en la pobreza y la desigualdad. En el marco de la OEA, el momento sirve para reconocer que el combate a la pandemia y al reto de la post-crisis comportan una dimensión internacional presidida por la determinación de renovar nuestra fe en el multilateralismo fundada en la solidaridad y cooperación hemisféricas. La resolución CP-RES 1151, respuesta de la OEA a la pandemia de COVID-19 adoptada por el Consejo Permanente el 16 de abril, y el documento Respuesta Integrada de la Secretaría General ante la crisis de la epidemia responden al logro de este objetivo. Destaco en particular los elementos del documento referentes al pilar de desarrollo de la OEA, que enuncian las acciones de la SEDI para ayudar a los Estados miembros en sus respuestas a la pandemia, que sugieren una aplicación fundada en una triple orientación de ajustar los proyectos existentes a los esfuerzos de respuesta a la crisis, promover nuevas iniciativas que puedan ser ejecutadas rápidamente y divulgar estos planes a socios multisectoriales para complementar esfuerzos. Del mismo modo, saludamos las iniciativas de OEA, Amazon, OEA, Facebook, con la organización de reuniones virtuales centradas en los sectores que más sufren la consecuencia de la crisis sanitaria, la coordinación de encuentros entre responsables de políticas de apoyo al sector MIPYME, a fin de que compartan experiencias políticas y posibles alternativas para que continúen operando y o se recuperen de la crisis económica. La celebración de programas que reúnan a la comunidad de MIPYMES para ofrecer oportunidades de conexiones y la convocatoria a través del programa de intercambio de competitividad de las Américas con el lanzamiento de una aceleradora de ideas con soluciones innovadoras para abordar algunas de las necesidades más urgentes. Estas acciones, ajustadas a nuestras apremiantes necesidades, merecen nuestro respaldo y reconocimiento a la señora Secretaria Ejecutiva de Desarrollo Integral, Kim Osborne, por su muy ilustrativa declaración que formuló hace un momento junto con su equipo. Nos impone también el deber de generar líneas de acción sobre las modalidades para avanzar en un proceso de cooperación al desarrollo que corresponda a nuestra realidad, a de los países de renta media, en el camino hacia el logro de los ODS y la Agenda 2030, al amparo, por supuesto, de una arquitectura renovada de cooperación para el hemisferio, pero que según la misma CEPAL están en riesgo. Ello supone convenir en un nuevo concepto de medición del desarrollo que no se base exclusivamente en el indicador macroeconómico del Producto Interno Bruto y que contemple la naturaleza multidimensional de las economías de nuestras naciones, en el que se incluyen las brechas estructurales que persisten y se consideren las vulnerabilidades de la región. Al mismo tiempo, y ahora más que nunca, resulta esencial cooperar con los sectores productivos que exhiben mayor competitividad de nuestros países, como bien advertía la señora Osborne, lo que podría servir además para convenir a término en emprendimientos conjuntos con el concurso de la inversión extranjera. Asimismo, este concepto debe considerar aspectos como la inserción de América Latina y el Caribe en la agenda digital global, la propagación del virus ha acelerado el uso de Internet y de las tecnologías digitales, lo cual ha exacerbado las desigualdades derivadas del distinto acceso a las mismas entre los países. Entre tanto, resulta prioritario acceder a recursos financieros a bajo costos en base de un apoyo flexible de las instituciones financieras internacionales con alivios al servicio de la deuda, recortes y reperfinamientos. En suma, la OEA puede contribuir al intercambio de informaciones y experiencias sobre el nuevo modelo de inserción de la región con propuestas de relanzamiento de las economías como consecuencia de las profundas modificaciones que incidirán en una nueva etapa de la globalización al mundo del después de la pandemia al que no se le persiguió. Señor presidente, mi país se ha visto muy afectado por esta emergencia global, por lo que el gobierno nacional ha promulgado múltiples medidas con el propósito central de velar siempre por el bienestar de sus ciudadanos y precautelar las vidas. Entre otras, se destacan la declaratoria de emergencia sanitaria, el estado de excepción y el toque de queda, la presentación del proyecto de ley de emergencia humanitaria que prevé la defensa de los derechos a la salud, la educación, la vivienda y al trabajo de los ciudadanos, la entrega de un bono de contingencia a las personas que se encuentran en el subempleo y que beneficia a más de 400,000 familias, y la propuesta de un gran acuerdo nacional para garantizar la atención primordial de cuidar a las personas, atender los estragos generados por la presencia del virus y garantizar la atención sanitaria, la producción y la dolarización, como también deponiendo las diferencias políticas para lograr el objetivo de atender a los más necesitados. Con el fin de precautelar la liquidez y el flujo económico de los sectores más afectados por la emergencia sanitaria, el gobierno estableció una política financiera que permite el diferimiento de plazos de los créditos que mantienen las MIPYMES con la banca privada y pública y el aplazamiento del pago de planillas de servicios básicos de abril y mayo, así como dispuso regulaciones temporales y especiales para el pago de impuestos nacionales aplicados a ciertos contribuyentes, en particular microempresas con actividades económicas relacionadas con sectores aéreo, turístico, agrícola y entre otros. En este marco, y como mencionó la señora Secretaria Ejecutiva de Desarrollo Integral, El Ecuador aprecia y analiza la propuesta en materia de competitividad con un enfoque sobre la vulnerabilidad y resiliencia de los bienes de exportación ante los impactos de la pandemia. Si, como advertía el secretario general en su intervención en el Consejo Permanente el viernes 17 de abril, que esta crisis ha evidenciado que nuestro bienestar depende del bienestar de los demás y que el bienestar de otros depende de nuestro bienestar, entonces, inspirados por esa cooperación y solidaridad hemisféricas a la que he aludido, debemos concluir que habremos de librar juntos la gran cruzada para conjurar la emergencia sanitaria, económica y social que nunca antes habíamos experimentado y alcanzar la recuperación de nuestros pueblos sin que ningún país ni ningún ciudadano de las Américas se quede atrás. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I now offer the floor to the Ambassador of Costa Rica.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Costa Rica, ante la pandemia global causada por el COVID-19, ha realizado un vehemente llamado para enfrentar esta crisis con un renovado espíritu multilateral y una visión innovadora de cooperación y solidaridad internacional. Es por esta razón que no quisiera dejar de agradecer una vez más, señor presidente, la propuesta presentada por la presidencia sobre las consideraciones y la resolución para la realización de reuniones virtuales del CIDI, tan necesarias en este momento, así como sus órganos subsidiarios aprobadas en esta sesión ordinaria, pues con ello podemos continuar de una manera más efectiva con el trabajo en beneficio de nuestra región. Asimismo, la Delegación de Costa Rica agradece la presentación del programa de trabajo de la SEDI, que mediante eventos, programas, oportunidades de cooperación, seminarios web, entre otros, complementa los esfuerzos que llevan a cabo los Estados miembros para mitigar los efectos de esta pandemia. El contexto actual ha cambiado nuestra forma de actuar, nos orienta a la necesidad de ser aún más proactivos en la búsqueda de soluciones que colaboren con la estabilidad de los países y desde luego combatir el COVID-19. Al día de hoy, Costa Rica tiene 697 casos confirmados. El día de ayer, 2 casos nuevos, y en la última semana hemos tenido un número reducido de casos nuevos confirmados y un total de 6 fallecidos. Y si bien estas cifras son alentadoras para mi país, lo cierto es que sabemos que no nos podemos dormir en los laureles. Hemos tomado medidas duras, dolorosas, innovativas, porque la verdad en la Constitución costarricense y nuestra cultura política no nos permite o no nos ha permitido adoptar medidas como la suspensión de garantías, los estados de emergencia, etcétera. Con lo cual nos ha correspondido como país hacer un llamado a trabajar en conjunto, a ser solidarios, y hemos tenido que innovar en mecanismos para motivar a la gente para que permanezca en sus casas. Es importante que a nivel regional intercambiemos las buenas prácticas adoptadas por los distintos países en la lucha contra el coronavirus. Cabe destacar que Costa Rica ya se ha hecho presente con iniciativas que contribuyen a dar soluciones a esta pandemia y nos encontramos en coordinación con la SEDI en el marco de este programa para compartir experiencias en materia de ciencia y tecnología, así como en temas relacionados con la micro, pequeña y mediana empresa, como muestra las políticas públicas implementadas por Costa Rica. El trabajo, la unión y la solidaridad deben ser nuestro norte como hemisferio para juntos salir airosos de esta situación y sobre todo para proteger el bienestar y el futuro de cada uno de nuestros connacionales. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I now offer the floor to the Ambassador of Mexico.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Unos breves comentarios solamente sobre este punto. México reconoce el esfuerzo de la SEDI en conjuntar en un documento las herramientas y las iniciativas para fortalecer la capacidad de respuesta del hemisferio en su conjunto ante esta pandemia, honrando el espíritu del multilateralismo para enfrentar retos comunes. El hemisferio está compuesto mayoritariamente por países en desarrollo, por lo que el trabajo en la construcción de la resiliencia, las iniciativas en torno a empleo, salud, educación, de forma general, pero también al sector turístico, el acceso al agua y el apoyo a las MIPYMES son fundamentales. La inclusión del componente de tecnología y la búsqueda a través de la SEDI de respuestas innovadoras e inclusivas es muy urgente. Mi delegación considera como aspectos positivos la multisectorialidad, el enfoque de derechos humanos tan urgentes en esta coyuntura y la centralidad del desarrollo integral como vector de la respuesta de la OEA. Como se recordará, México propuso que la próxima Asamblea General se enfoque en orientar todos los esfuerzos de la organización hacia la atención de la pandemia y a las respuestas a los escenarios posteriores. México tiene experiencia en los temas que se mencionan en el documento. Reconocemos el interés que se ha expresado por parte de la organización en conocer lo hecho por mi país en temas como MIPYMES, educación a distancia, turismo y ciencia y tecnología como áreas prioritarias. Entendemos que la solución la creamos todos, y México seguirá trabajando muy responsablemente para lograrlo. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I now offer the floor to the delegation of Chile.
Ahí sí, señor presidente.
Siga, por favor.
Señor presidente, Chile agradece la realización de esta sesión virtual del Consejo Interamericano para el Desarrollo Integral de la OEA y aprovechamos la ocasión para felicitar el programa de trabajo en respuesta a la pandemia del COVID-19 presentado por la secretaria ejecutiva del SEDI.
Chile tiene en mute el micrófono.
Ahí sí, señor presidente. Ok, gracias. Chile agradece la realización de esta sesión virtual del Consejo Interamericano para el Desarrollo Integral de la OEA y aprovechamos la ocasión para felicitar el programa de trabajo en respuesta a la pandemia del COVID-19 presentado por la Secretaría Ejecutiva del SEDI. También creemos que esto demuestra el firme compromiso de apoyar a los Estados miembros en los esfuerzos que se están desplegando frente a esta compleja situación. En particular, señor presidente, respaldamos las iniciativas desarrolladas con el sector privado, como las alianzas con Facebook y Amazon, entre otras, y estaremos atentos a sus potencialidades y avances. Así también compartimos la necesidad de identificar capacidades y enfoques innovadores para la competitividad que permitan compartir productos y servicios basados en soluciones para abordar algunas de las necesidades más apremiantes generadas por el COVID-19. Asimismo, Chile valora muy positivamente el enfoque del Foro de Competitividad de las Américas en orden a abordar las políticas y capacidades institucionales necesarias para enfrentar las implicancias económicas a corto, mediano y largo plazo de esta pandemia. En materia de ciencia y tecnología, apreciamos la búsqueda de respuestas tecnológicas a los desafíos actuales y futuros derivados del COVID-19, orientadas a ayudar a nuestras autoridades a tomar decisiones informadas ante situaciones de emergencias actuales y futuras en nuestra región. En este sentido, la próxima reunión de ministros y altas autoridades de ciencia y tecnología, que se celebrará en Jamaica del 10 al 11 de noviembre de este año 2020, constituirá una gran oportunidad para presentar propuestas y soluciones a los desafíos más acuciantes de los Estados miembros, en particular, obviamente, a los relacionados con el COVID-19. Los esfuerzos compilatorios hechos por el SEDI sobre las respuestas entregadas por nosotros, los Estados miembros, en materia de desarrollo económico, trabajo, educación, competitividad, turismo y puertos, serán muy útiles para la eventual coordinación y enriquecimiento de nuestras políticas. Señor presidente, Chile considera urgente la necesidad de reforzar la arquitectura global del multilateralismo y en particular la de la salud global, que a la vez abre una oportunidad única para reforzar la gobernanza y repensar cómo queremos que nuestros pueblos vean el sistema multilateral, más ágil, efectivo, robusto y transparente en la toma de decisiones globales. Un reforzamiento de la gobernanza en materia de salud global necesariamente implica generar conceptos y estándares comunes en las mediciones que apunten a una mayor transparencia y faciliten la colaboración internacional en esta pandemia. Por ejemplo, nos preocupa de sobremanera la competencia desenfrenada entre los estados por procurarse insumos y elementos de primera necesidad para enfrentar el COVID-19. Señor presidente, estamos frente a un problema global del que no saldremos airosos si no lo enfrentamos con solidaridad y con colaboración. En este sentido, creemos que el programa de trabajo en respuesta al COVID-19 presentado por la Secretaría Ejecutiva para el Desarrollo Integral apunta en el sentido correcto. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much. I now offer the floor to the delegation of Honduras.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Buenos días a todos. La delegación de Honduras agradece la convocatoria a esta primera reunión del CIDI de manera virtual, así como también agradecemos a la Secretaría Ejecutiva para el Desarrollo Integral SEDI por todos los esfuerzos que se han venido trabajando en estos momentos con el fin de apoyar a los Estados miembros ante esta crisis del COVID-19 que actualmente enfrentamos. El gobierno de Honduras ha venido trabajando de manera continua en la prevención, combate y recuperación a los efectos de la pandemia del COVID-19. Es por eso que el gobierno de la República ha implementado y seguirá implementando políticas públicas que protegen los empleos de todas las personas, así como a las empresas para que puedan seguir operando para tener una pronta recuperación económica que está afectando en estos momentos a todos los países de nuestra América. Como parte de las iniciativas y mesas de trabajo instaladas por el presidente Juan Orlando Hernández y con el apoyo de la OEA a través del Departamento de Desarrollo Económico y Colau Marketing como un socio estratégico, el pasado viernes 24 de abril se lanzó oficialmente el plan de digitalización de las MIPYMES como una herramienta fundamental para que las empresas puedan acceder al comercio electrónico y hacer frente a los desafíos que enfrentan a consecuencia del COVID-19. El lanzamiento permite acceder al comercio electrónico de forma 100% gratuita, fácil y rápida para todas las micro y pequeñas empresas del país. Estamos conscientes que esto traerá mayor rentabilidad a estas pequeñas unidades de producción, como son las MIPYMES, sobre todo en esta crisis. Para terminar, queremos manifestar que mi delegación está a la mayor disposición para la reactivación de las reuniones de forma virtual del Consejo Interamericano para el Desarrollo Integral y todos sus órganos subsidiarios para abordar los temas que nos corresponden. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. And I offer the floor to the Ambassador of Barbados.
Mr. Chair, I hope you can see me and hear me. Thank you very much. First and foremost, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for convening this meeting this morning via this platform. I think it is even more important to stress that in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, that the development pillar of this organization is of even greater relevance to us, many small, open developing economies than it ever was before. I also want to thank the Executive Secretary, Mrs. Kim Osborne, for her presentation and for what is being done through the work program of SEDI, what they have done to immediately refocus to assist member states during this very challenging time is certainly to be commended. On some of the areas, Mr. Chairman, that were mentioned, and some of these areas and initiatives, Barbados is particularly interested to see continue and expand. These include obviously the strengthening of the micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises to help them adjust to the new realities through the webinars and initiatives aimed at digitizing and the development of platforms for e-commerce with a view to building competitiveness, especially in this very unusual market environment. The use of technology to help our countries to build resilience, particularly in the areas of disaster preparedness and management and health and biological threats. Also through the Hub on Technology Transfer and the Commercialization Initiative to help young scientists and entrepreneurs to use technology to develop innovative and products and services that are going to become much more relevant in the future, because we can't base our economy solely on the pillars of the past, but new sunrise industries must emerge. In the area of education, the continuation of training for our teachers in digital education through the digital classroom projects and providing assistance to member states in distance learning is going to become particularly important during this period. But I'd also like to see, Mr. Chairman, and I'm sure I speak for some of the other countries in the CARICOM region, that what this particular pandemic and the answers to it in teaching and learning have exposed is that there is a divide, there is a social divide amongst many members of our societies at the level of a hardware divide. For example, there are many of our people that are not, many of our people at the lower levels don't even have access to the hardware that may be necessary to be able to treat to them at this level, to be able to access platforms of this kind. And therefore, any assistance that SEDI can give, and I know I keep hearing people state that you don't need to bring certain things to the OAS, but I'm saying that the development pillar must take on a whole new stance, because what must happen in this particular area is that SEDI can assist us with looking for traditional partners that can help provide some of the hardware that some of our people do not have, and some of our people at lower social standings do not have. The other area is to continue working in sustainable development. Disaster reduction and management becomes even more critical now. Disaster mitigation for small tourism enterprises, because we're going to be faced just now with a hurricane season. And apart from trying to rebuild our tourism economies, getting people to travel again, getting people to feel safe again, one of the things that is going to become even more relevant is that tourism marketing is going to become even more critical in this sphere, but in a non-traditional sense. In other words, what we must be doing is messaging differently to at least tell people that we can, folks that are potential travelers, that we can look after their safety and look after their family's safety when they do come into our jurisdictions, and that we're coming back even better than ever. And those are that type of technical assistance and messaging can be done we can get assistance through that, better said, through SEDI's programs. And finally, Mr. Chairman, the issue of ports. I see that whenever we speak about ports, we talk about managing ports, but ports are also an essential part of the wider development of any society. There are lots of countries around the world that have actually built a lot of their development capacity on the fact that they have been able to expand their ports, whether it is transshipment or anything or of the like. And therefore, what is important is that that anything that can be done to allow us to reposition our ports to be of more relevance and significance to the economy is critical. And I believe that the SEDI programs can assist with that. Finally, Mr. Chairman, obviously what has been circulated to us, the Executive Secretary said that the work plan is fluid and is an active document, and we agree with that. We have, except for the presentation, we haven't actually seen the document, which we obviously would like to see. But also the concept of if SEDI is communicating directly at capital with major agencies or ministries, it would be appropriate to also copy member states on some of these initiatives that are going on, because I can't remember and our officers can't remember ever having seen what is being done. If the communication that has been had and the challenges that have been presented and the opportunities being presented to our specific member states have not been copied to missions here in Washington, we think that that is something that needs to be done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I've been advised by the Secretariat that Ambassador Philip Spencer of Trinidad and Tobago had requested the floor before the Ambassador of Guatemala, but for some reason his name was displayed from the list. With the kind permission of the Ambassador of Guatemala, I will therefore offer the floor to Ambassador Philip Spencer, should he still wish to make an intervention. Ambassador Philip Spencer, you have the floor.
Good morning, Chair, and thank you. This is actually Rudy Trushan, the alternate representative. I was asked by Ambassador Philip Spencer to make a contribution on behalf of our delegation on this particular agenda item. So if I may, with your permission.
Yes, please proceed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. My delegation wishes to thank you for convening this virtual meeting, and we also wish to express appreciation to the Executive Secretary and SEDI for the principally programmatic and technical measures highlighted in the presentation. COVID-19 has revealed the multidimensional character of poverty, and not only the limited perspective captured by individual measures of GDP per capita, or a poverty line of $2 per day per household, which incidentally has not been adjusted for more than 2 decades. And we stand in agreement with the comments made by the Ambassador of Ecuador, and we agree that there needs to be a renewed emphasis on inclusive multilateralism. In terms of the presentation made by the Executive Secretary, we have a few questions. The first of which is, are there any measures being proposed or to be pursued to address through advocacy and promotion by SEDI the systemic and structural challenges to integral and sustainable development that COVID-19 has exposed fully? For example, those systemic and structural challenges are being engaged by CARICOM heads and ministers at the global level, including at the multilateral development banks and the international financial institutions, together with the need to integrate the COVID-19 response and recovery process simultaneously with the required prevention, preparation, and proactive measures on the eve of a projected harsh hurricane season. Additionally, my delegation has the following questions specifically to the program articulated and presented by Executive Secretary Osborne. We wanted to get some further details as it relates to the calendar of online events that was published in the documents. How exactly is the Secretariat going to allow for member states to access these? Is it going to be done via email, that the information to log on to the webinars and the events would be sent via email from the Secretariat? Also, what is the procedure for member states to access the collaborative initiatives or projects that the Secretariat has with Facebook, Amazon Web Services, etc.? Because that was not clearly stated in the document, and for clarity in terms of forwarding the information to our capital, we would like to know exactly how member states can access these initiatives. And also, Executive Secretary Osborne spoke about the one-stop shop platform, so we were interested in knowing what exactly is the timeline for the launch of this platform, so that that information could also be communicated with our capital. And we are also interested in knowing whether the Secretariat was involved in the collaboration between Amazon Web and the government of Colombia in digitizing its education curriculum, because that was also cited in the documents as an example. So we were interested in knowing how exactly that collaboration came about. And finally, is there a timeline for the launch of the Inter-American Network of Modeling and Simulation for Emergency Situations, and how will member states be able to access it? I wish to thank Executive Secretary Osborne once again and his team for doing an excellent job in reconfiguring their work in response to assisting member states to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we look forward to the answers to these questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. The Ambassador of Guatemala has requested the floor, but I understand she may be experiencing technical difficulties. I will offer her the floor, but if there's a problem with seeing and hearing her, the alternate of the delegation of Guatemala will speak in her stead. Ambassador, you have the floor.
Creo que la estábamos escuchando. Si puedo pedir la palabra nuevamente. Embajadora Scioli.
Is the ambassador still having technical difficulties?
Yo creo que la estábamos escuchando, pero bueno, le damos la palabra al señor Bernard.
Okay. Guatemala, please proceed.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Un afectuoso saludo a todos. Guatemala agradece la convocatoria a esta sesión ordinaria del Consejo Interamericano para el Desarrollo Integral y nos sumamos al agradecimiento a la Secretaría del CIDI por su esfuerzo de hacer posible esta primera reunión virtual. Nos encontramos en un momento trascendental en el cual el CIDI genere aportes significativos en el marco del pilar de desarrollo para enfrentar la crisis económica y social de los países del hemisferio durante y después de la pandemia. Mi delegación agradece a la presidencia de la Secretaría Ejecutiva de la CIDI, señora Quimos, por la presentación PowerPoint como documento de trabajo en curso, así como del plan de trabajo de la SEDI, que incluye los retos, oportunidades y compromisos frente a la pandemia del COVID-19. Para Guatemala es imperativa la reacción de la labor de este espacio privilegiado como facilitador del diálogo sectorial de cooperación solidaria para el desarrollo. A ese fin, agradecemos la propuesta del presidente del CIDI del proyecto de resolución reuniones virtuales del Consejo Interamericano para el Desarrollo Integral a causa de la pandemia del COVID-19, así como los lineamientos para la realización de las reuniones virtuales del CIDI y sus comisiones, grupos de trabajo y demás órganos subsidiarios. Señor presidente, conforme transcurren los días, como consecuencia de esta crisis sin precedentes en la era de la globalización, es urgente reflexionar y prepararse de cara a los retos en el corto, mediano y largo plazo. Los sectores productivos, especialmente el turismo, las MIPYMES, servicios, la agricultura, entre otros, que mantienen la economía en nuestra región, necesitan mayor protección, proyección y planificación para su recuperación post-pandemia, por las consecuencias del distanciamiento social, para frenar la curva del contagio, con implicaciones de desaceleración de la producción e incluso su interrupción total. Consideramos, y siguiendo la presentación de la secretaria Osborne, la SEDI tiene un rol importante que ejecutar en el proceso de acompañamiento a los Estados miembros frente a los desafíos tendiente a contrarrestar el impacto negativo en la economía mundial, especialmente en nuestra región, que es una de las más vulnerables. Agradecemos las acciones que se están ya desarrollando e iniciativas enfocadas a coadyuvar a los esfuerzos para el desarrollo y la reactivación económica en las Américas, parte esencial de la respuesta integrada de la Secretaría General de la OEA ante la crisis de esta pandemia. Señor presidente, esta crisis se presenta para Guatemala a los apenas 100 días del gobierno del doctor Alejandro Yamatei en la presidencia del país, debiendo tomar decisiones para redireccionar las prioridades de gobierno frente al panorama actual. Destaco, sin embargo, el compromiso de la política del gobierno de promover la economía, competitividad y prosperidad, y la labor, la tecnología, ha contribuido de manera significativa para lograr este fin en estos tiempos atípicos de brindar atención y bienestar de acuerdo a los pilares estratégicos que se han identificado. A pesar del desafío, ha prevalecido siempre en el gobierno del presidente Yamatei El propósito de servir a la población guatemalteca, protegiendo la vida, el bienestar y su desarrollo. En ese marco, agradecemos el acompañamiento y cooperación de la SEDI y sus iniciativas de apoyo a las prioridades de Guatemala, entre ellas el fortalecimiento de las MIPYMES, trabajando en el plan de digitalización a través de plataforma Colau. Al momento se han digitalizado 3.531 MIPYMES en todo el país. Asimismo, por la coordinación Facebook de una mesa redonda en línea que permita el intercambio de experiencias, herramientas y medidas que se están impulsando para ayudar a las MIPYMES a hacer frente a esta crisis sanitaria e identificar los principales desafíos y preocupaciones de las MIPYMES frente a este contexto. Seguiremos, asimismo, trabajando con las instituciones de gobierno de Guatemala en las iniciativas que ha puesto a disposición la SEDI en temas de turismo, desarrollo sostenible y competitividad, a fin de recabar su parecer para realizar de un trabajo coordinado y efectivo. Recordamos el deber que tenemos como Estados de unir esfuerzos para garantizar los derechos de las personas más vulnerables. Nuestra región es conocida por tener un porcentaje alto de inseguridad alimentaria y nutricional. Este porcentaje puede verse duplicado por la pandemia del COVID, lo que implica que un alto número de la población está en grave riesgo. Esta problemática para Guatemala es esencial que sea tomada en cuenta en nuestro actuar, principalmente en los programas de cooperación que brinda la SEDI y la SADIE para atender las necesidades de las poblaciones más vulnerables. La desnutrición es un factor que influye en el desarrollo integral. No podemos esperar a que esta pandemia termine para enfrentar este grave problema. Debemos actuar ahora e impedir que el porcentaje de desnutrición e inseguridad alimentaria y nutricional en la región sea cada vez mayor. Señor presidente, es importante que ahora que hemos adoptado la resolución sobre reuniones virtuales, que las comisiones retomen su trabajo y cumplir con los mandatos establecidos en cada uno de los órganos subsidiarios del CIDI. Ante la incertidumbre de no saber cuánto durará la crisis, cuánto más rápida y contundente sea la respuesta, estaremos incidiendo, ojalá, de manera positiva para contrarrestar los efectos negativos. Guatemala es consecuente, es consciente que no nos enfrentamos a un desafío de amplio espectro, de gravísimas consecuencias, pero tenemos la certeza que, con el esfuerzo de todos, tomando siempre en cuenta las necesidades de los más vulnerables, los derechos humanos y haciendo frente a la crisis social y económica que tenemos por delante, podremos superar esta crisis. En este marco, respaldamos el rol que corresponde a la OEA jugar hoy. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much. I now offer the floor to Ambassador Salvador of Nicaragua.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. En primer lugar, la delegación de Nicaragua quiere reconocer la excelente labor a cargo de su presidencia, embajador Isalani. Igualmente, la labor de la Secretaría Ejecutiva, aquí en y su eficiente equipo de trabajo. La presentación del plan de trabajo, si bien nos parece bastante ambicioso, está diseñado para un esquema normal de funcionamiento del CIDI. No tanto hay que acotarlo y adecuarlo precisamente a las condiciones excepcionales en las que estamos trabajando. Y creo entonces de que eso ameritará una priorización de temas, ¿verdad? Es decir, el tema de las MIPAI, del apoyo, sobre todo en reducción de costos de energía, mantenimiento, cómo se van a financiar post-crisis COVID-19 estas pequeñas y medianas empresas, así como la promoción del turismo y lo que tiene que ver precisamente con la capacidad instalada en materia turística, hotelera, de recepción ya sea de las embarcaciones, transporte marítimo, aéreo, etcétera. Todo lo que tiene que ver con esa rama también va a ser objeto de un análisis profundo, sobre todo para economías que dependen del sector turismo, como lo es el Caribe y Centroamérica fundamentalmente. Y otro de los temas ya señalados por algunos de nuestros colegas, como muy bien lo planteaba la distinguida embajadora de México, de hacia dónde orientar nuestros trabajos de cara a la próxima Asamblea General, que que es el tema central precisamente del COVID-19, y algunas otras iniciativas como Chile, en el sentido de que sin solidaridad no vamos a poder salir de esta crisis. Es un elemento determinante y fundamental. Así nos sumamos realmente a las inquietudes planteadas por Trinidad y Tobago con respecto a algunas iniciativas. Y lo otro elemento importante es de que todas las iniciativas que se estén desarrollando sean comunicadas a las misiones, ¿verdad? Tal como el embajador Mincho lo había propuesto. Porque de alguna manera nosotros contribuimos a darle dinámicas a esas iniciativas y darle seguimiento, pues, porque de alguna manera hay que darle seguimiento también a esas actividades. Sin más, no me resta más que agradecerlo, agradecerles a todos y cada uno por la participación y decirles pues que cuenten con la colaboración de Nicaragua. Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much. I see no other requests for the floor. I thank the delegations for their various interventions. I've noted the endorsement of the importance of integral development in the context of COVID-19 and the current crisis. I have noted the various endorsements of the adjustments to the SEDI work program, even as there's been a call for continuity with regard to existing mandates, and also for a focus to be placed on the areas of comparative advantage that SEDI and CIDI enjoy. I have noted as well that there seems to be consensus that a multilateral response and the sharing of information are important as member states can try to confront the crisis. And I have noted that even as we consider the challenges that are currently before us, we need to be looking ahead. And in this respect, there is a proposal that the next General Assembly should focus on COVID-19 and its aftermath. Likewise noted the importance of certain sectors such as tourism and ports. And I have noted in particular Trinidad and Tobago's point about the need to address systemic and structural challenges to integral development as an overarching principle. In light of the couple of specific requests made, I would like to ask the Secretariat to take note of them, specifically the request for the document that is the adjusted work program, not just the PowerPoint presentation, but a work program document that can be shared with delegations, and also the request by Trinidad and Tobago for more information and clarification on timelines and the calendar for online events and the modalities for accessing information and collaboration with Facebook, Amazon, etc. I would also like to ask those member states who wish to do so to please forward their presentations to the Secretariat for circulation, as these will be of some value as we collectively consider the challenges before us and the joint actions that we should take. If there are no objections, I would like to propose that CIDI take note of the work program of the Executive Secretariat for Integral Development in response to COVID-19, challenges, opportunities, and engagement with member states. It is so agreed. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is item 4, the consideration of priority areas for CIDI. We have just heard about the approach adopted by SEDI to continue supporting member states in their efforts to face the challenges presented by the pandemic. In this respect, SEDI has defined its priority areas and is consequently adjusting its portfolio of projects, exploring new projects, and reaching out to multi-sectoral partners to complement its efforts. As you well know, SEDI also has the responsibility to determine its priority areas. The priority areas identified by member states are those that will be included in the draft omnibus resolution, either by seeking to adjust existing mandates or by adding new ones, bearing in mind that the revised mandates and any new ones must be accompanied by a sense of realism with regard to the financial situation of the organization and the technical capacity of SEDI. I offer the floor to delegations for comments on the topic. It may well be that delegations may feel they've addressed this item already under the preceding item. If that is the case, and seeing no request to the floor, I therefore reiterate my request to delegations to submit in writing their presentations made under the previous item so that they may be part of the record and they may be circulated in member states. Obviously, our considerations thus far will be incorporated into SEDI's revised work program and will be part of the deliberations when the draft omnibus resolution comes to be discussed. There being no comments on this item, I will therefore move to item 5, status of the draft omnibus resolution for the 50th regular session of the General Assembly. And in this respect, I will ask the Chair of the Committee on Partnership for Development Policies for Integral Development, Mrs. Lilia Sanchez de Morehead of the Dominican Republic, to provide us with an update on the status of the draft omnibus resolution that SEDI should present to the next regular session of the General Assembly. Mrs. Sanchez de Morehead, you have the floor for your presentation.
Señora Sánchez, tiene que pedir la palabra con el botón azul abajo a la derecha. No la veo en la lista.
She had signed in. I'd seen her earlier.
Yeah. Pero ahora no la veo. Ahora sí.
Madam Chair of the Committee on Policies, you have the floor. She's disappeared from the screen.
Salió, sí, salió nuevamente. Esperemos que para que esté reiniciando el... Ahí apareció. Si puede activar cámara y micrófono ahora.
Muy bien.
Perfecto.
Qué bueno. Muy buenos días, señor presidente, y estimados colegas, señora secretaria ejecutiva para el Desarrollo Integral. Me complace mucho ver a todos ustedes en esta mañana en nuestro primer CIDI virtual. Gracias, señor presidente, por ofrecerme la oportunidad de compartir con el Consejo Interamericano para el Desarrollo Integral en el estado de los trabajos de la Comisión de Políticas de Cooperación Solidaria para el Desarrollo que me honro en presidir, con relación a la preparación del proyecto de resolución Omnibus que el CIDI en su momento transmitiría a la consideración de la Asamblea General en su próximo periodo ordinario de sesiones. Señor presidente,
En diciembre de 2019, la Comisión de Política aprobó un plan de trabajo que, entre otros, incluye el inicio de las deliberaciones para la elaboración del mencionado proyecto de resolución a partir del mes de febrero del 2020. De conformidad con el cronograma de trabajo acordado, la Comisión aprobó el 3 de marzo del presente año una metodología para la presentación y negociación del proyecto de resolución ómnibus y un calendario de reuniones que definía el día 22 de mayo del año 2020 como fecha objetivo para concluir las tareas, en el entendido de que el 50º periodo ordinario de sesiones de la Asamblea General se celebraría en la primera o segunda semana del mes de junio del mismo año. La metodología acordada establece pautas para la presentación y negociación del proyecto de resolución ómnibus y, en su caso, de otros proyectos de resolución o declaración sobre temas de la competencia del CIDI y congruentes con las líneas estratégicas del pilar de desarrollo del Plan Estratégico Integral. En este sentido, se acordó que la presidencia y la vicepresidencia de la Comisión, con apoyo de la Secretaría, presentarían un proyecto de resolución ómnibus basado en la resolución aprobada en el año 2019 y en consonancia con las áreas temáticas del plan estratégico. Así, el 13 de marzo del 2020 se distribuyó la versión preliminar del proyecto de resolución titulado Impulsando iniciativas hemisféricas en materia de desarrollo integral. De conformidad con el calendario de reuniones acordado el 18 de marzo pasado, debía haberse iniciado las deliberaciones sobre el texto distribuido y del 14 de abril al 20 de mayo de este mismo año deberían haberse celebrado reuniones formales e informales para la negociación de textos. Se acordó incluso el día 28 de abril del 2020 como fecha límite para la presentación de propuestas de los Estados miembros. Permítame informar, señor presidente, que el 16 de abril de este año, la Secretaría recibió los comentarios y observaciones de la misión permanente del Ecuador al proyecto preliminar de resolución distribuido. A partir del 13 de marzo pasado, señor presidente, nos hemos visto obligados a revisar nuestros trabajos y a buscar nuevas maneras de contribuir a actividades ante la cuarentena obligada por la pandemia del COVID-19. Desde fecha mencionada, la presidencia y vicepresidencia de la Comisión hemos estado manteniendo comunicación y contactos permanentes con muchos de los delegados hoy presentes en esta reunión, para considerar opciones que nos permitan mantener nuestras labores actualizadas con esperanza de una definición de fecha objetivo para la conclusión de los trabajos relacionados con el proyecto de resolución, entre otros asuntos que se contempla en nuestro plan de trabajo. En ese sentido, el pasado día 21 del corriente mes, celebramos una reunión informal virtual de la Comisión durante la cual los Estados miembros expresaron con relación al proyecto de resolución lo siguiente. Uno, que la Comisión necesitaba una orientación del CIDI como áreas prioritarias que, ante la situación que atraviesan los Estados miembros de la OEA debido a la pandemia, debería cubrir el proyecto de resolución a ser presentado a la Asamblea General. Es decir, si sería un proyecto relativo a los mandatos vigentes al 13 de abril, o si por el contrario sería un proyecto con mandatos nuevos ante la crisis actual, o si sería un proyecto de resolución mixto que dé seguimiento a mandatos que hay que seguir trabajando y que además atienda las necesidades que han surgido como consecuencia de la pandemia, u otra sugerencia que fue la extensión de mandatos existentes. Los Estados miembros consideraron que era prematuro reiniciar las labores y fijar fechas de reuniones sin que el CIDI se hubiera pronunciado sobre una metodología a adoptar para celebrar reuniones virtuales equivalente a las de presencia física, y sin conocer la fecha que se propone para la celebración de la Asamblea General. De igual manera, los Estados miembros manifestaron que es necesario tener presente que el presupuesto de la organización se verá afectado por la situación actual y que los mandatos que se adopten deban ser ejecutables con los recursos existentes. En este sentido, señor presidente, si bien no se ha definido el tema que se adoptará para el próximo periodo de sesiones de la Asamblea General, los Estados miembros están dispuestos a adelantar tareas, haciendo un llamado a la cautela para trabajar pausadamente y siguiendo de cerca el desarrollo de la situación. También se consideró probablemente las instrucciones de capitales no se obtenga con la rapidez deseada debido a lo que nuestros países están enfrentando en este momento inusual y con tantas situaciones sanitarias, sociales y económicas que atender al mismo tiempo. Finalmente, después de este consejo, la Comisión de Políticas busca ejecutar su calendario de manera constante, aunque más espaciado en tiempo, y realizar nuestras reuniones de manera informal hasta donde podamos, para incurrir en el menor gasto posible. Y de igual forma concluir con las deliberaciones de otros temas que están a la espera de ser atendidos, como han expresado o acordado un número de Estados miembros ante la Comisión de Política de Cooperación Solidaria para el Desarrollo del CIDI. Concluyo hasta aquí mi informe, señor presidente, y muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Moorhead. The floor is now open to delegations who wish to comment. I offer the floor to the Ambassador of Mexico.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Será muy breve, solo para respaldar el trabajo realizado hasta ahora por la presidencia y por la vicepresidencia de la Comisión de Políticas en momentos complejos. Manifestamos explícitamente nuestro deseo de seguir colaborando en beneficio de todos. Por lo que toca a la resolución ómnibus, señor presidente, México ya ha expresado su propuesta de que la próxima Asamblea General se enfoque a orientar los esfuerzos de la organización hacia la atención de la pandemia. En ese sentido, y siendo el desarrollo integral el eje primordial para ello, consideramos que el documento resolutivo debiera enfocarse en mandatos concisos, financieramente viables y que tengan como objetivo central apoyar a los Estados miembros en sus procesos de reconstrucción sanitaria, social y económica, con pleno respeto a los derechos humanos de todas las personas en el hemisferio. Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I now offer the floor to the delegation of Brazil.
Señor Cuenca, tiene que activar su cámara y su micrófono.
Ok. Obrigado. Obrigado, presidente. Também farei uso breve da palavra. Queria agradecer a apresentação feita pela presidente da Comissão de Políticas, dizer que nós também apoiamos o trabalho que ela e o vice-presidente realizam. E breves observações que vão em linha um pouco com o que foi comentado. Gostaria de recordar que a discussão sobre data e tema da próxima Assembleia Geral, assim como outras eventuais orientações substantivas, não ao CIDI especificamente, mas talvez a todos os pilares da organização, estão sendo discutidas no âmbito do Conselho Permanente. Então, nos parece aconselhável alguma cautela neste momento em relação a como continuar a discussão da resolução ônibus do CIDI. Vale recordar que a Comissão de Políticas, além da resolução ônibus, tem outras tarefas pendentes. Em particular, nós vínhamos já bastante adiantados na discussão sobre os mecanismos da OEA na área de resposta a desastres. Essa é uma discussão que estava muito adiantada, falta pouco tempo para concluí-la, então nossa sugestão foi de que a Comissão de Políticas, que agora poderá se reunir formalmente, a partir da decisão que foi tomada hoje no âmbito do CIDI, que a Comissão de Políticas retome seus trabalhos por essa tarefa pendente, que não nos tomará muito mais tempo, mas que é um mandato importante, ao qual muitos países atribuem grande prioridade, e cujo resultado também poderá informar a resolução ônibus. Então, essa seria uma primeira fase, e nesse meio tempo em que terminamos a discussão sobre os mecanismos de desastres, provavelmente esse tempo será suficiente para uma decisão no âmbito do Conselho Permanente sobre data e temática e outras eventuais sugestões, orientações substantivas, o que nos permitiria, então, quando iniciar a discussão do projeto de resolução ônibus, já com essas informações, facilitando muito a decisão sobre como orientar os trabalhos, que eventuais adaptações fazer no projeto apresentado, que, na nossa visão, grande parte poderá ser aproveitado, mas isso não exclui a possibilidade de ajustes, da inclusão de novas sessões. Então, esse é o nosso comentário, senhor presidente, em apoio às observações feitas pela presidente. Muito obrigado.
Thank you very much. I offer the floor to the Ambassador of Costa Rica.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Costa Rica ha estado reflexionando sobre este tema y, al igual que México, consideramos que el tema del COVID va a tener que ocupar un lugar primordial en las discusiones de los estados. Tener discusiones sin considerar el COVID y el contexto en el que estamos, consideramos que no podrían ser. Más bien, por el contrario, en este momento el contexto se nos impone para adaptar, para adaptar las discusiones, entender que hay prioridades que debemos de abordar, por supuesto, sin dejar de lado algunas discusiones que se venían dando, pero sí es importante que en cada uno de los temas se analice en el contexto en el que estamos actualmente. Para muchos de nuestros países hay un antes y un después desde la pandemia, y eso no lo podemos ignorar. Con lo cual, Costa Rica más bien promueve o apoya un abordaje mixto sobre las discusiones del proyecto de resolución, de manera que podamos abordar de manera prioritaria el COVID, obviamente sin dejar de analizar aquellos temas que debemos de analizar. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. The Ambassador of Ecuador has the floor.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. En la misma línea que las dos expositores anteriores, mi delegación considera, y creo que la propia muy ilustrativa declaración e informe que rindió la secretaria Osborne lo confirma, y tenemos que priorizar las acciones derivadas precisamente de esta pandemia, y qué más, y sobre todo en el marco del pilar del desarrollo, la necesidad de que esas acciones reflejadas en el ómnibus y tengan como prioridad la atención a la manera de mejor enfocar y encarar las crisis, las repercusiones de la crisis, sobre todo en sus dimensiones económicas y sociales, y de parte de la OEA. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Ambassador of Barbados has the floor.
Mr. Chairman, many thanks. Thanks to the chair and the members of the policy committee and to the deputy chair for the work that they've been doing. As you're aware, and I think that the chair has said of the policy committee, a draft omnibus resolution had been circulated for feedback by member states prior to the suspension of the regular OAS activities. At a cursory glance, the resolution there's nothing problematic about it. The mandates contained within are for the most part in line with Barbados' interests in terms of sustainable development, disaster management and resilience, renewable energy, education, scholarships, and promoting decent work. And obviously, we will continue to work on these things. Under regular conditions, our mission would actually submit to our relevant national authorities to see if these areas where the resolution could be strengthened to better reflect Barbados' particular needs and concerns. But given the changing circumstances, some countries obviously have different scenarios for the negotiation of the SEDI resolution, sorry. I think we've got 4 scenarios. We either defer the negotiation of a traditional omnibus resolution, we adopt an approach similar to what was taken, and we had this discussion before when the ambassador from Canada had actually convened a meeting to what was taken in 2015 and adopt a resolution that rolls over existing mandates for another year, draft and negotiate a COVID-specific resolution because of how fluid the COVID situation is and the differing needs of countries within each one, but particularly stressing on the importance of getting over how do we get through this COVID-19 situation and the aftermath, or work on a hybrid of a traditional omnibus resolution with existing mandates while including COVID-specific mandates as principal to that resolution. Now, of course, the Permanent Council is yet to determine on the format, the date, and the scope of issues to be addressed at the 50th General Assembly. It is therefore quite difficult to make a final determination, but we think that these things are open, should be discussed by all delegations. Barbados would tend, in first instance, to support an approach where critical existing mandates are extended for an additional year, but COVID-specific mandates are incorporated as central to the resolution. However, member states are free to discuss, but we would tend to support, as I said before, and I repeat, an approach where critical existing mandates are extended for an additional year, but COVID-specific issues are added to that resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. The delegation of Colombia has the floor.
Gracias, señor presidente. Para nosotros, como delegación, es muy importante que la OEA tenga en cuenta no solo el contexto, pero los trabajos que ya se vienen adelantando. Y en ese sentido quisiera hacer eco de las palabras de la delegación de Brasil, en el sentido de que ya existen unas prioridades que se deben seguir trabajando en el marco de la comisión, pero que la resolución no creemos se deba únicamente enfocar en una respuesta a la pandemia, si bien entendemos la urgencia y la importancia de dar respuestas priorizadas. También existen otros proyectos que deben tener continuidad y en ese sentido la delegación de Colombia de manera preliminar se encontraría más cómoda con una resolución tal vez más mixta y no únicamente enfocada en el COVID. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. I now offer the floor to the delegation of Canada.
Canada, you have to request the floor again. No, you have to activate your microphone and your camera.
Thank you very much for the floor. Unfortunately, it appears that my camera is not working. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. Chair, our delegation would simply like to take the floor to thank all involved for convening this meeting and for the constructive discussion that has ensued. We particularly wanted to thank Secretary Osborne for her presentation at the outset of this meeting that lays out a very practical and I would say nimble approach to the current crisis that we're facing. With respect to the omnibus resolution and how we move forward, we wanted to echo and thank the Ambassador of Barbados for laying out a series of options that we have in terms of how we may wish to proceed. Our delegation would like to ensure that those options are further discussed within the SEDI Policy Committee so that we can come to a consensus decision on what the best way is to approach this new reality we find ourselves in. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. I see no other requests for the floor. I thank you all for your contributions. I think it is clear that delegations agree that it is judicious to advance deliberations, albeit with a certain amount of caution with regard to the draft omnibus resolution, even though there is not yet a date set, a venue, or a theme for the next regular session of the General Assembly. In addition, given the current circumstances and the impact they may have on the budget of the organization, it is extremely difficult to predict what will happen, and obviously we will need to be as flexible as possible. It is very likely, however, that we are now in a position to think about a mixed or hybrid draft resolution. We have made some progress today with regard to identifying the priority areas and adjustments for CIDI and SEDI. And in this respect, the draft omnibus resolution should perhaps cover the work that was on the way before the pandemic, as well as the new programs, projects, and activities that are being specially developed for assistance in response to the pandemic. I think that we can agree that the Committee on Partnership for Development Policies will carry on with its deliberations of the draft omnibus resolution, holding informal meetings as much as possible due to the cost of virtual meetings. And once a date is set for the General Assembly, a calendar of formal virtual meetings should therefore be set to formalize agreements. I wish therefore to instruct the Secretariat to prepare in consultation with the Committee on Policies a new skeleton of the draft omnibus resolution, revising the existing draft to incorporate the new elements discussed today, particularly with regard to COVID-19, for the consideration of the Committee on Policies, which will then obviously report to SEDI. If there are no objections, it is so agreed. Agreed. Thank you. Item 6, procedural matters. We have several items on the procedural matters. The first refers to a recommendation of the Management Board of the Inter-American Agency for Cooperation and Development. I am pleased to offer the floor to the Chair of the Management Board, the Delegation of Mexico. Ambassador Luz Elena Baños, you have the floor.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. En mi calidad de presidenta de la Junta Directiva de la Agencia Interamericana de Cooperación para el Desarrollo, me permito informar que en la última reunión de la Junta Directiva el pasado 12 de marzo, se acordó recomendar que el pago de los costos de las auditorías externas correspondientes a los años 2019, 2020 y 2021 sea cubierto como con parte del recurso remanente de las actividades no ejecutadas por el Fondo de Cooperación para el Desarrollo. En este sentido, se recomienda que el primer pago correspondiente a 2019 se haga de inmediato y los siguientes 2 pagos al inicio de cada auditoría correspondiente a los ejercicios financieros de 2020 y 2021. Lo anterior con fundamento en el artículo 10º literal A de los estatutos del Fondo de Cooperación para el Desarrollo respecto a la apropiación de recursos no ejercidos del fondo. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm on another call. Can you call me back in about 10 minutes, please? Okay. My apologies. That's the perils of working from home. Different lines, different calls. Thank you very much, Ambassador Banyas. Thank you very much for your report. Are there any delegations that wish to comment on the presentation by the IACD Management Board? There being no comments, I wish to propose that CIDI approve the cost of the external audits of the Development Cooperation Fund for the fiscal years 2019 to 2021, with the understanding that payment for 2019 will be made immediately, and the payments for the following 2 years will be made at the start of the corresponding audits for the 2020 and 2021 financial years. These costs will be met with the balance of the DCF budget line. I quote, reimbursements for amounts not executed during the 2014 to 2017 programming cycle. If there is no objection, it is so approved. I'm now pleased to offer the floor to the Executive Secretary to present the analysis of the transfer of responsibility from the Committee on the Scholarship Capital Fund to the Management Board of the IACD. Executive Secretary, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, with regard to that particular item on the agenda, the Secretariat had circulated the document CD/Doc 284/20 for the information on member states with regard to the issue of transferring the functions of the management of the scholarships fund, the capital fund, to the management board. As member states would be aware, the management board already has within its statutes the responsibility for the management and administration of the scholarships program. And so what this report from the Secretariat pretty much indicates is that while there has been a capital fund committee in the past, it makes sense to transfer those functions to the management board, given the fact that the management of scholarships is within its purview. The management board already has the responsibility, as per Article 18 of its statutes, the responsibility for managing, administering the fellowship, scholarships, and training program under standards governing the program in accordance with the policies and priorities adopted by SEDI. And so for us, Chair, it made sense to, from the Secretariat's perspective, it made sense to streamline that process, and it would make sense to transfer the functions we've presented to member states as per their request, the report on that, the suitability of it. I'm not sure whether member states have any specific additional requirements or requests for us further to what we've already said in the report that we've provided. In addition to that, consultations have been had with the Department of Legal Affairs, legal cooperation within the context of the OAS, and legal has advised that it is advisable to move that function to the management board and have proposed how we would do so. Legal has in fact already drafted a resolution from for that purpose that we are ready to share once member states have had a chance to analyze the suitability of the transfer of responsibilities and determine whether this is the way forward. So, Chair, the Management Board of the IACD, as you know, is meeting regularly, debating and discussing issues of cooperation, and this function would just be part of the ongoing work of the Management Board without a need perhaps for an additional committee to do so. So that's pretty much what we've put forward in the document that was circulated to member states, looking at the functions, the statutes of the board, what the functions of the Capital Fund Committee have been in the past, how it has worked, and the rest is up to member states to decide whether this is something that they consider feasible going forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Osborne. Would any delegations like to comment? There being no requests to the floor, I would like to propose that SEDI approve the transfer of the responsibilities of managing the Scholarship Capital Fund from the Scholarship Capital Fund Committee to the Management Board of the IACD, and instruct the Executive Secretariat to prepare the draft amendment required in the relevant statutes and norms to reflect the transfer of responsibilities, and to present them at the next regular meeting of SEDI to be adopted ad referendum in the General Assembly. If there are no objections, it is so agreed. Agreed. Item 7, the draft calendar of virtual meetings of SEDI and its committees. As we all know, before the quarantine, we had a calendar of meetings for SEDI. Several events within the ministerial processes, the permanent committees of SEDI, and the management board of the IACD. Since mid-March, of course, all programmed activities have had to be revisited and rescheduled. At the end of March, it was thought that normal business would resume in April or May, and the Secretariat prepared a preliminary schedule of meetings, document CD/doc 287/20. We know now that this schedule will have to be revised further. We've agreed that we will hold virtual meetings to discharge our responsibilities and prepare for the next regular session of the General Assembly. I think it would be helpful, therefore, if the committees of SEDI could review their workload and prepare a new indicative schedule of meetings. Flexibility, obviously, will have to be the order of the day, and it is understood that a new calendar will be subject to continuous review and adjustment in keeping with the ever-changing circumstances confronting us. I'm therefore requesting that the chairs of the committees, in consultation with delegations, prepare a calendar of meetings. I'm also asking that the Secretariat review all activities planned within the ministerial processes and update the information on dates and venues, with a view to presenting SEDI with an updated calendar at our next meeting, and with the understanding that that will be subject to continuous review. Are there any comments? If there are no comments, it is so agreed. Thank you. Next item is approval of the 2019 annual report and the 2020 work plan of SEDI. Delegations will recall that during the meeting held on February 25th, 2020, SEDI presented its 2019 annual report and its 2020 work plan to SEDI. SEDI took note of the documents presented. After the meeting, some delegations requested time for their authorities to review the annual report and the work plan. The deadline set for the submission of comments was April the 8th. On April the 6th, the Secretariat received comments from the Ministry of Culture and Sports of Guatemala. No other comments were received from delegations, but I understand that the disruption caused by the pandemic has been responsible for this, and I have been approached to extend the deadline for comments. Madam Executive Secretary, do you have anything to add to that?
Chair, we don't. As I probably indicated at the meeting of the that we had when the report was presented, the report is activities that have already been carried out in 2019, so that pretty much is done. We will simply reporting to member states what we had accomplished vis-a-vis the OAS strategic plan, which guides our work. As far as the work plan for SEDI, we've had to update that work plan and focus on what we can achieve, what is reasonable to be what can reasonably be achieved given the current climate, so that there are elements of the work plan that we perhaps will not even be able to touch this year. So a lot has changed in this current context, and we will do our best to accommodate and to implement as much of the work plan as possible. But at this point, I believe where member states are and where we are as a secretariat in response to the needs of member states, and the idea being to remain relevant to member states, we have to adjust the work plan to focus on the current context that we're operating in, both in terms of the secretariat and how we are forced to operate in a virtual context, and how member states would have to respond to the work that we're proposing or that we previously proposed in the work plan. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Before I offer the floor to delegations, let me just add that we also understand that SEDI's 2020 work plan presented in February is subject to revision. It's been revised in accordance with the Executive Secretary's presentation on the item 3 of today's agenda, and in conformity with the new priorities that we as member states are confronting. This new revised 2020 work plan should therefore be as comprehensive a document as possible. But again, as I've stressed in respect of other issues, we have to be flexible and we have to be prepared to adjust as events unfold. Having heard the Executive Secretary, and just before I offer the floor to delegations, I would like you to think then about a new deadline for comments to be provided by member states, bearing in mind that we've already asked the Executive Secretary, the Executive Secretariat and the Executive Secretary to present us with the new work plan as a document, building on the PowerPoint presentation that we received today. I therefore offer the floor to Ambassador Lynch of Barbados.
Mr. Chairman, very quickly, we wanted to come in on the issue of the draft calendar of virtual meetings of SEDI and its committees, but you had already passed that. But I think we can wrap this up all at the same time. At a virtual informal meeting of the Committee on Policies, the question of whether delegations should continue to work on the review of the OAS disaster response tools was raised, or if this would appear to be a little bit out of sync with the needs to address the immediate challenges presented by COVID-19. It was suggested then that the hurricane season is fast approaching, which would put countries already grappling with the fallout from COVID in a position to deal with the existential threats of a natural disaster. But we want to posit here that we think we must not abandon efforts being undertaken to make the OAS better equipped to assist member states in disaster preparedness and resilient response. We want to put that on the table because we think it is critical that even in a COVID situation, this hurricane season is projected to be maybe more active than we have seen in a couple of years past, like maybe 3 or 4 years past. And I think it is critically important that we continue that discussion. On the issue of just one other thing, the cultural work plan that has been adopted is not featured. Is not featured in the work plan. I can't. In what we saw, I think it is important that issues like this continue to be debated, because the aftermath of COVID-19 is going to really call for a huge restructuring in terms of development issues in most of our countries, and therefore anything that can add to creating new jobs and creating new opportunities is going to be fundamental. So I believe that the cultural work plan that was approved also needs to become a part of virtual meetings. We need to continue to discuss these issues, because they're going to really make a big difference to our populations, particularly folks that have been displaced, and particularly our youth. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. And now off the floor to Brazil.
Obrigado, presidente. Vou ser breve. O Brasil gostaria de registrar que na sessão do CIDI de 25 de fevereiro fez comentários sobre o relatório de atividades de 2019. E naquele mesmo dia, a pedido da Secretaria, encaminhou a intervenção brasileira, que é enfim, muito clara e específica, à Secretaria. Então, enfim, aqui registrando que os comentários brasileiros foram enviados à Secretaria. O relatório circulado para a reunião de hoje não teve nenhuma atualização. Nós consideramos importante que esse relatório seja revisado. Não ficou claro se a sua proposta de novo prazo para comentários inclui esse relatório ou apenas diz respeito ao plano de trabalho, mas, em todo caso, o Brasil já fez seus comentários. Gostaria de que esses comentários informassem uma revisão do relatório e que pudéssemos, numa próxima reunião do CIDI, discutir, então, uma versão revisada do relatório. Em relação ao plano de trabalho, nosso entendimento é de que o plano de trabalho ele não requer uma aprovação dos Estados-membros, essa pelo menos tem sido a praxe, mas em todo caso ele é um documento de referência muito valiosa para os Estados, né? O plano de trabalho foi apresentado e circulado como um documento PowerPoint, assim como hoje também foi apresentado como um documento PowerPoint, o que se chamou de plano de trabalho para a resposta do Covid. Os documentos PowerPoint, eles têm um valor informativo, mas eles não têm um valor, digamos, legal como documentos formais da organização. Nós gostaríamos de encorajar a prática de que as apresentações em PowerPoint, elas tenham um espelho que seja um documento formal, porque senão esses documentos se perdem. Mas, além disso, também compreendemos, como o senhor, que enfim, seria relevante atualizar o plano de ação apresentado em fevereiro à luz da reorientação do trabalho da Secretaria na resposta ao Covid, né? Já que, enfim, seria o documento de fevereiro, em princípio, pareceria em vários pontos, ou pelo menos tenderia a estar superado. Muito obrigado, presidente.
Thank you very much. I now offer the floor to the Ambassador of Mexico.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. México agradece la presentación de los dos documentos, pues abonan al esfuerzo de rendición de cuentas y al trabajo eficiente. Retomando los comentarios de Brasil, quisiéramos comentar que el plan de trabajo requiere todavía de consideraciones de los Estados miembros, aunque no fuera mandatorio hacerlo. Consideramos muy importante hacerlo en este momento. Y pues como todos sabemos, el documento fue circulado inicialmente como presentación de PowerPoint y no como un documento con los requisitos formales. De igual forma, no fue circulado en las lenguas oficiales de la organización y no nos parece que se haya redactado como resultado de una toma de decisiones de los Estados miembros, que vendría muy bien para hacerlo más fuerte. Al respecto, antes de aprobar el documento, solicitamos respetuosamente que se circule con los requisitos antes mencionados y que en virtud de la situación actual que estamos enfrentando, se nos dé un plazo razonable para que los Estados miembros expresemos eventuales comentarios al documento para enriquecerlo. Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. The United States will have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to take the floor briefly to, first of all, thank the Secretariat for its work on these documents and to encourage member states and the Secretariat to address any of the outstanding concerns in terms of translation and ensuring that delegations have time to review. I would also, however, like to encourage us to make sure that we aren't spending more time on planning than we are on taking action. I think it's really important to strike a balance between being true to procedure and ensuring that member states have time to provide inputs. I think that's very important. But what I would hate to see is for us to get caught up in process and not be able to carry out or allow the Secretariat to carry out the actions and the work that needs to get done, especially in light of the crisis that we are facing. So I would greatly appreciate if we could perhaps set up some concrete deadlines for when member states should have their comments in, that the Secretariat would get everything out in the languages needed, and that we can ultimately agree to come back and approve something that can move forward so that the Secretariat can continue its important work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Executive Secretary, could you tell me when realistically and reasonably the Secretariat could have ready a document that reflects the updated work program for 2020 for the consideration of member states?
Chair, I was of the impression that the updated work program is what we presented in within the context of COVID. I believe
that was a PowerPoint presentation. The states have said they wanted a document, a formal document.
I'm referring to the work program that we presented in terms of COVID. We had thought that this was an updated an update of what we were going to focus on going forward. So now that there is a request to go back to the SEDI work plan and update that, then we would need some time to do so and get it translated. So I anticipate that perhaps by the end of next week, we would be able to incorporate the current work program that we've presented in terms of, in light of COVID, that I presented today and we've sent out to member states, and incorporate that into the work program that was presented previously, and recirculate those documents in the languages as requested.
Thank you very much. I think that is reasonable, and therefore set April the 8th, 2020, not April, May the 8th, 2020 as the date for the circulation of the updated work program in the official languages of the organization to member states. And I would then suggest that member states have 2 weeks in which to submit their comments on the updated work program. If there's no objection, Ambassador Baños, are you asking for the floor again?
No, embajador, está ahí, solo que no se puede sacar.
Okay. If there's no objection, it is so agreed. Agreed? Thank you. We now move to other matters, though I must inform delegations that we are fast running out of time, given that there is another meeting scheduled and the interpreters have to have a break. Are there any requests for the floor on the other matters?
Tenemos al representante de Cuenca de Brasil.
Brazil, you have the floor.
Obrigado, presidente. Desculpem pedir a palavra novamente, mas eu peço a palavra ainda sobre o item anterior. O senhor proferiu um ruling sobre o plano de trabalho, mas minha delegação se referiu à necessidade de apresentação de um relatório revisado de 2020 para que possa ser discutido e eventualmente aprovado na próxima reunião do CIDI. Então, apenas gostaria de confirmar que esse será o encaminhamento. Muito obrigado.
My apologies. In my haste to move on, I overlooked that. And just to clarify, you're asking for consideration of a revised 2019 report? And if so, what would be the timeline that you suggest? You have the floor again.
Presidente, sim, eu me refiro a uma revisão do relatório 2019. Minha delegação, especificamente, já apresentou relatórios, não temos necessidade de um prazo adicional para apresentar para apresentar comentários. Não sei outras delegações. Assim, do ponto de vista da minha delegação, se trata apenas de revisar o documento, circular o documento para que na próxima sessão formal do CIDI ele possa ser discutido e eventualmente aprovado. Mas não posso falar pela necessidade eventual de outras delegações. Obrigado, presidente.
Thank you very much for the clarification. It seems to be a reasonable proposal. Are there any other requests to the floor to address this issue?
Tenemos a la delegación de Estados Unidos.
The United States, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and again, apologies for taking the floor again. I guess perhaps I'm a little bit confused. My understanding was that the 2019 report had already been circulated for 30 days of review and was ready to be adopted at this meeting. So I understand that I believe the PowerPoint presentation is new, but my understanding was that the 2019 report had already gone through a 30-day review period for comments to be incorporated and then presented back to us today to be adopted. And I would defer to Secretary Osborne perhaps to clarify if that was the case. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that delegations are suggesting that because of the pandemic, they have not had enough time to give comments on the 2019 report. But since you have asked Secretary Osborne to offer clarification, I will offer the floor to Secretary Osborne.
Chair, I believe that per Brazil's, I do believe that comments were received. I would need to check with the committee chair, the SEDI secretary, to see whether those comments were incorporated into the report. We did receive some from Guatemala, but there was no request for a change. But I'd have to check with the SEDI committee secretary to see whether those were already incorporated into the version that was resubmitted or recirculated today. But the intention would be, of course, to include whatever comments or whatever input would have come from Brazil and circulated to member states as necessary. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Let me make this proposal. Why don't we follow the same procedure as we will follow with the 2020 work plan? I'm therefore going to ask the Secretariat to incorporate the comments received into the regarding the 2019 report, circulate them in the official languages by May the 8th, and delegations will have a further 2 weeks to comment, and then we should be in a position to adopt the report formally by the next meeting of SEDI. Brazil, are you asking for the floor again?
Presidente, para deixar claro...
Ambassador.
Como vai? Para deixar claro que estamos de acordo com a sua sugestão. Justamente o problema que nós enfrentamos é que os comentários do Brasil ao relatório de 2019 não foram incorporados à versão que foi distribuída hoje. Uma vez que seja assim, de acordo com a sua sugestão, podemos voltar a examiná-lo na próxima reunião. Muito obrigado.
Thank you, Ambassador. I think then that we can proceed on the basis that comments will be incorporated and a new document, an updated report will be circulated to member states by April the 8th, by May the 8th, forgive me, by May, and member states will have the further 2 weeks to approval of the report at the next formal meeting of SEDI. It is so agreed. Thank you. Are there any matters on the? Are there any issues on the other matters? There be no requests for the floor. I thank you all for your participation, your very active participation, and your kind cooperation as we get accustomed to this new format for meeting. I wish you and your families good health, and I thank you once again until the next time we meet. The meeting is adjourned.